Chapter 335. Taking advantage of the moment when everyone was stunned, Lin Shun flicked his finger, and a light green finger energy shot out and hit Yi Feiyun right in the middle. Yi Feiyun spat out blood and retreated, dropping a dozen attribute light balls. Lin Shun chewed on the green jade sugarcane and waved his hand again. A dozen gung gold energy rays appeared around Yi Feiyun. The spinning gung gold energy rays reversed in the air and shook Yi Feiyun into the air. He spun a few rounds in the air and fell to the ground, unconscious. The gentle breeze caused his silver robe to flutter. Everyone stared blankly at Lin Shun, who was leaning against the stone tablet. He was chewing on the green jade sugarcane with a calm expression. He did not take Yi Feiyun seriously at all. Even the experienced Yin Qinyun was stunned by such a unique scene. He waved his hand casually. "Carry him away." Next, Yin Qinyun, who was stunned for a moment, quickly recovered and waved her hand. Winner, Lung family representative Lin Shun. Many people were shocked and couldn't calm down for a long time. At this moment, Xiao family's Xiao Zhanfeng jumped and stepped into the Abyss Dragon platform from the edge. He clenched his fist and laughed. "You really think you're invincible after defeating Yi Feiyun? I'll open a few bloody holes in your body today and let you know what a genius is." Xiao Zhanfeng held a crimson snake battle spear in his hand. His expression was sharp and dangerous like a poisonous snake. "Xiao family, Xiao Zhanfeng. I challenge Lung family representative Lin Shun. The challenge begins." Yin Qinyun didn't say anything and immediately started the second battle. "It's time to exercise after eating." Coincidentally, a sparring partner came to my door. Lin Shun smiled slyly and finished the last bite of the green jade sugarcane. The soul acceptance ring on his palm flashed, and a self-made jazz hat flipped over. With a toss of his palm, the jazz hat nimbly landed on his head. "Go to hell, you barbarian trash." Xiao Zhanfeng's face showed a sinister smile. He held the spear with both hands, and the spear's shadow was like a storm of pear blossoms. As it spun slightly, it suddenly pierced forward. Refined 100-snake spear. The crimson-red spear shadow was like a scarlet serpent king that suddenly swept out. Every spear strike was as fast as a scarlet serpent king's bite and pounce, surging with a surging crimson-red baleful aura. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Within the shadow of the spear, there was a faint hissing sound of the red, refined Serpent King. Within a radius of several thousand feet, it was completely enveloped by the shadow of the red spear. What sharp spear art! Is he going to use it? That brat's strange and unpredictable movement technique. Ning Yunlan's eyes focused. The next moment, his expression became comical and startled. Lin Shun placed his hands between his chest and abdomen. His footsteps were strange as he stepped forward, but even though he seemed to be moving forward, he was actually moving backwards. "Hit me when you move." With a twist of his waist, Lin Ming turned around beautifully and dodged another dozen spear shadows. Xiao Zhanfeng's attribute light orbs began to continuously drop. Every time he stabbed out 3 times with all his strength, there would be an additional attribute light orb on the field. Seeing this scene, Lin Shun revealed a trace of a smile. He immediately chose to wear down Xiao Zhanfeng's battle tactic. As he turned around, Lin Shun suddenly leapt up and spun in the air. When he landed, his legs moved, and he once again used the strange movement technique from before. The rhythm and amplitude of his swaying legs clearly indicated that he was moving forward, but his entire body rapidly retreated, completely causing Xiao Zhanfeng's spear to miss. Lin Shin's waving hands, turning, swinging legs, and kicking legs all perfectly dodged the tip of Xiao Zhanfeng's spear. It was just right, just a hair's breadth away. Everyone was stunned. What kind of movement technique was this? Movement technique? But Lin Shun did not circulate his battle chi. Damn it, why can't my spear hit this brat? Xiao Zhanfeng was angry and sullen. His spear speed was one of the best among those of the same level. Even prodigies with excellent movement techniques would not dare to rashly dodge at close range. They would usually choose to distance themselves. But Lin Chen's strange and unpredictable movement technique was simply unpredictable. Furthermore, his gaze seemed to have already seen through the trajectory of his spear. This made Xiao Zhanfeng so angry that he almost vomited blood. Movement technique? No, more accurately, it's more like a dance, Lung Yueqi said with some surprise. She had also never seen Lin Chen do this kind of movement before. It seemed so interesting, so handsome. Some of the young female prodigy's eyes were somewhat fiery. They stared unblinkingly at Lin Chen, who was perfectly dodging Xiao Zhanfeng's attack with a moonwalk. The psychedelic moonwalk stunned everyone. The tip of the spear furiously flicked, and Xiao Zhanfeng's battle chi was almost exhausted. Lin Chen took a step back and elegantly turned around, his legs sweeping out like a meteor. Clang! His scarlet snake spear was fiercely kicked away by Lin Chen's whip kick, stabbing into the ground. The exhausted Xiao Zhanfeng's eyes trembled slightly. Lin Chen casually took off his Black Knight's hat, and it spun in the air. In the next moment, Lin Chen's fist was like a dragon as it violently landed on Xiao Zhanfeng's abdomen. As the wind from the fist swept through the entire arena, Xiao Zhanfeng's defensive artifact shattered on the spot. His eyes rolled back as he was sent flying by Lin Chen's punch. When Xiao Zhanfeng's entire body fell to the ground, Lin Chen's Black Knight's hat just happened to cover his spear. All the prodigies present could not help but suck in a cold breath. Lin Chen actually did not use any battle techniques or movement techniques. He did not even use a trace of battle chi. He only used a kind of dance technique to defeat Xiao Zhanfeng. His pure strength seems to be stronger than it was at the beginning. Yi Yanxiao of the Four Heavenly Kings smiled with interest. A rare trace of battle intent appeared in her eyes. Winner, Lung Family Representative, Lin Chen. Accumulated battle points, 2 points. Yan Xinyan waved her hand lightly and announced the result. She looked at Lin Chen with her beautiful eyes even brighter. This young man, how many secrets does he have? At this time, the two challengers at the edge of the Abyss Dragon platform had not left yet. Bai Li Xiao took the lead and jumped into the Abyss Dragon platform. Yi Feiyun and Xiao Zhanfeng, these two pieces of trash. Nice to look at, but useless. Lin Chen, let me show you what true terror is. Bai Li Xiao did not waver at all. He rolled up his sleeves, and his entire body released a grayish-white battle chi that gradually condensed. This battle chi was like an unparalleled evil spirit from the ancient times. It stirred up the wind and clouds, and a gale began to blow on the Abyss Dragon platform. The grayish-white battle chi began to slowly form into an ancient dragon, and then merged into Bai Li Xiao's body. Fierce Sky Dragon Technique, Bai Family's high-grade blue rank mental cultivation method. It is said that this mental cultivation method can burn battle chi into pure strength. One strike can have the power to shatter stars. If this is combined with Bai Li Xiao's 2,000 dragon power, the power is unimaginable. This brat is going to suffer. It is said that he also has a blue rank movement technique. He is so fast that no one can see his shadow. Any opponent who is forced into close combat by him will suffer a series of close combat attacks. Many of the prodigies from the ancient times came back to their senses and were full of confidence in Bai Li Xiao. Bai Family, Bai Li Xiao challenges Lung Family Representative, Lin Chen. The challenge begins. Yan Xianyun could not wait to see the third round and immediately announced. Everyone was curious. How far could Lin Chen go? Chapter 336. Lin was calm and collected. He took back his hat, crossed his arms, and looked at Bai Li Xiao with ridicule. Bai Li Xiao's face was ferocious as he laughed wildly. Ha ha! Lin Chen, stop pretending. You're just a trash who has some achievements in body refinement. You don't want to use battle chi? Are you afraid that everyone will see your Heaven Dipper Realm 6th-stage cultivation? Let me, Bai Li Xiao, tell everyone that you're just a trash. From the beginning, Bai Li Xiao thought that Lin Chen was just pretending. He didn't even put him in his eyes. The proof was that he had been hiding his battle chi cultivation and only dared to use his pure strength against the enemy. Bai Li Xiao was much stronger than the previous two challengers. He was in the early stage of Heaven Dipper realm, and his body refinement level was 2,000 dragon power. He also mastered a blue rank intermediate movement technique. He was confident that as long as he got close to Lin Shun, he would be able to tear off his pretentious mask. Boom! The soaring, murderous aura formed 100 feet long, Qi Jiao Jiao. It was above Bai Li Xiao's head. Bai Li Xiao took a step forward, and his figure turned into an afterimage. He was like a flood dragon moving at high speed. Every time he changed his body shape, he would leave 3 flood dragon shadows behind him, which were also changing at an extremely high speed. So fast, worthy of being a blue rank intermediate movement technique, mysterious Jiao dragon snake steps. Bai Li Xiao has almost mastered this movement technique. Lin Shun is going to suffer. While everyone was exclaiming, Yin Qinyan was very curious about what Lin Shun would do this time. Who knew? Lin Shun just crossed his arms and didn't move at all. Tear! The space rippled slightly, and a sonic boom came. Bai Li Xiao's brutal fist was aimed at Lin Chen's chest. This fist was full of 2,000 dragon power. Plus, Bai Li Xiao's cultivation technique was mysterious. He transformed his battle chi into pure strength. The power reached 3,700 dragon power. Even a Heaven Dipper Realm 9th stage late stage would be afraid. Die for me, Lin Shun. Inside the Abyss Dragon platform, smoke and dust were flying everywhere. Boom! Bang! The momentum was like a meteor crashing into the continent. Air currents tumbled about chaotically. If it weren't for the fact that the dragon platform was constructed from special materials and reinforced space, this fist would have been enough to shatter 10,000-foot tall mountains. Everyone focused their eyes and looked up. Could it be that Lin Shun was really like what Bai Li Xiao said? That he was just putting on an act? No, look. Lin Shun is still standing. This guy really isn't that easy to defeat. Eh! Exclamations of surprise came from all directions of the one-line sky. Many geniuses were even more shocked. They saw that Lin Shun was standing indifferently in the dragon platform. Bai Li Xiao's full-strength punch did not even break the corner of his clothes. What's going on? Bai Li Xiao flew back, his whole body covered in cold sweat. When his fist landed on Lin Chen's body just now, it was as if he had hit a mountain made of high-grade ores. Not only did it not budge, even his own arm felt a little numb. Lin Shun patted the dust off his shoulders and chuckled. Not bad. Your strength is not bad. I've been lacking sleep for the past few days, and I need a massage therapist to help me loosen my muscles and bones. I think you have quite the potential. Come, continue, don't stop. Lin Shun urged and pointed at his left shoulder. And here, I've been reading too many action romance novels recently. My shoulder is sore. Give it a few hits here, too. Looking at Lin Chen's expectant and even somewhat urging expression, the geniuses looked as if they had seen a ghost. Ning Lanfeng and the others who had a grudge with Lin Chen in the past were even more stunned. They were stunned on the spot. A massage therapist with 3,700 dragon power? Is this a F*King massage for a level 6 dire beast? Is he crazy? Mother *Ker, how dare you look down on me? I'll fulfill your wish today. Bai Li Xiao's blood rushed to his heart, and his eyes almost popped out. As if he had received the greatest humiliation in his life, he burst out a hysterical roar and rushed towards Lin Shun. His fist was like a star falling from the sky, fiercely hitting Lin Chen's shoulder. Lin Chen could not help but moan. Ah, cool. Don't stop. Bai Li Xiao's leg was like a guillotine slashing horizontally. He kicked Lin Chen's calf and knee, but he did not move at all. Yes, that's it. And knee, use more strength. Lin Shun even stretched his back in the midst of the opponent's frenzied attacks. Impossible. He didn't even use his battle aura, and he blocked all my attacks? I don't believe it. I must kill this bastard. Bai Li Xiao was like a mad beast. His elbows, fists, knees, legs, and his entire body were like precise, killing weapons, bursting out with all his strength every time. Bang, bang, bang. The wind whistled, and the air kept exploding, as if an ancient beast was going crazy. But the sound of the air constantly exploding, coupled with Lin Chen's comfortable and lazy voice, made everyone's scalp tingle. What kind of monster is this? Bai Li Xiao hit him more than 100 times, but his body did not even move a single step. Even the four heavenly kings and Yin Qianyun began to pay attention to Lin Chen seriously, with different degrees of surprise and doubt in their hearts. Blocking Bai Li Xiao's attacks was easy for the four heavenly kings. However, if he didn't use his battle chi or a precious weapon, it would be a different story. Although they were peerless geniuses, their cultivation was only at the late or middle stage of the prospective venerable. For Lin Chun to block hundreds of attacks without any defensive means, perhaps only Yi Yinxia, the body-refining maniac, could do it. No, every time Bai Li Xiao attacked, his body would appear faint traces of dragon scales. Yin Qianyun, as a master of ancient secret arts, saw through Lin Chen's clues with a few glances. Dragon scales? Could it be that he has the bloodline of the dragon race? Interesting, it's getting more and more interesting. Her beautiful eyes were full of splendor, and Yin Qianyun smiled unconsciously. She had not met such a person that she could not see through it all for a long time. Lin Chun used the Azure Dragon possession to mobilize part of the ancient Azure Dragon's dragon scales to block Bai Li Xiao's attack. The ancient Azure Dragon's pure strength was 6,990 dragon power. The body refining level was divided into several domains between the Heaven Dipper realm and the Yuan Venerable realm. When the pure strength reached 5,000 dragon power, it was comparable to the early stage of the prospective Venerable realm. 5,000 dragon power was the first watershed. Breaking through 5,000 dragon power with 4,999 dragon power was equivalent to entering the prospective Venerable realm from the 9th stage of the Heaven Dipper realm. It seemed to be just a difference of 1 dragon power, but in fact, it was a world of difference. 7,000 dragon power was comparable to the middle stage of the prospective Venerable realm. 9,000 dragon power was comparable to the late stage of the prospective Venerable realm. 10,000 dragon power was equivalent to the Yuan Venerable realm. But 10,000 dragon power was a watershed, and the difficulty of breaking through was equivalent to entering the Yuan Venerable realm. The ancient Azure Dragon with 6,990 dragon power only needed to mobilize a little power to defend against Bai Li Xiao's attack. After a series of more than 200 violent attacks, Bai Li Xiao suddenly stopped attacking and quickly retreated. What kind of freak is this guy? I can't beat him. Bai Li Xiao was panting like a cow, sweating profusely. He stared in disbelief at the motionless Lin Chun, and a touch of fear emerged in his heart. Chapter 337. Bai Li Xiao's 3,700 dragon power was temporarily increased by battle chi. In a real battle, he couldn't last as long as an expert who could control pure strength. Did you use up all your battle chi? 53 attribute light balls dropped. Not bad. Lin Chun turned his neck. Before Bai Li Xiao could react, he took a step forward. Boom! The wind from the wind prison swept over. Lin Chun turned into a green light and instantly moved to Bai Li Xiao's side. His speed was 3 times faster than Bai Li Xiao's. What? Bai Li Xiao's expression changed. Lin Chun suddenly turned around. His pure strength was like a flash flood as he suddenly exerted force on his waist. No one expected this scene. Bai Li Xiao's waist suddenly tilted and his whole body was instantly blown away. He turned into a meteor and flew out of the Abyss Dragon Arena. Bang! Bai Li Xiao collided with the one-line sky cliff. Most of the geniuses didn't see what happened. Carry him away. Next. Lin Chen waved his hand confidently and smiled indifferently. What happened? What did this guy do? I only saw that his movement technique was extremely fast. When he flashed to Bai Li Xiao's side, he instantly flew out. A small number of geniuses who were at the middle stage of Tier 9 had a dignified expression. Some of them were stunned and couldn't believe it. It's actually about attack? This guy just shook his butt and defeated by Li Xiao. Ning Yunlan's pupils shrank. Hearing what he said, the geniuses of the Ning family were all stunned. There's such a technique, but attack? He really didn't expect anyone to know what he was going to do. Han Ziyan, who was watching from the one-line sky, was speechless. Normal people don't fight with their butts. Doesn't this mean that to defeat by Li Xiao, he doesn't even need to use his battle chi? He just needs to shake his butt? Yin Qianyun, who had a panoramic view of what happened just now, covered her mouth and chuckled. This was the first time she saw such an interesting guy. By family, by Li Xiao, lost the ability to fight. Winner, Lin Chun. 3 consecutive victories, accumulated battle points. 3. The moment Yin Qianyun announced the result, everyone was shocked. Up until now, Lin Chun had defeated 3 geniuses in a row. Furthermore, he had not even used an ounce of his battle chi cultivation. Just as he had said, the people currently on the field were not even qualified to warm him up. This is the only time he can be arrogant. The young man in a long robe stepped into the Abyss Dragon platform indifferently. He carried a sword with a blue flowing light on his back. His expression was cold, and his eagle-like eyes shone with the sharpness of a sword. It's the Thunderclap sword, Feng Ryu. What a powerful aura. As expected of the number 1 expert below the top 10 geniuses in the Battle Dragon arena. Some of the geniuses looked at Lin Chun gloatingly. This time, things wouldn't be so simple. Feng Ryu's strength was 2 levels higher than by Li Xiao's. Although his cultivation base was at the middle stage of Heaven Dipper realm, the oppressive feeling he gave off was not inferior to the early stage of Quasi-Venerable. In fact, apart from the top 10 geniuses, none of the top 20 geniuses who participated in the hunt for the 9-headed Earth Demon Hound could defeat him in a one-on-one duel. You're the Feng Ryu who wanted to challenge me before. Lin Chun sneered. This Feng Ryu had challenged him before and thought that he was a pushover. He wanted to use him as a stepping stone. That's right. After defeating you, my battle points will be 5 points. It's just enough to challenge the top 10 geniuses. Feng Ryu smiled coldly. His fingertips moved, and the thunderclap sword behind him let out a dragon's roar as it was held in his hand. The sword light flowed with a faint lightning intent, and traces of the sharpness of the lightning twisted the space to the point of ripples. It was a 6th grade, low-grade sword. Thunder sword, Thunderbolt. Interesting. Seems like you're a man who can warm me up. When Lin Chen's fingertips touched the soul receiving ring, the geniuses couldn't help but hold their breaths. As expected, Lin Chun had to show his true strength in the face of a strong opponent. Feng Ryu, the soul receiving ring flashed, and many people were looking forward to seeing what kind of weapon Lin Chun would take out. They were all puzzled and shocked. They saw Lin Chun holding his special basketball with one hand, hooking his finger at Feng Ryu and winking flirtatiously. What's going on? All the geniuses were stunned again. What is he trying to do with a ball? What weapon is that? Why haven't I seen it before? I've never heard of it. Although it has the aura of a high grade, or it doesn't seem to have any destructive power. He seems to remember that it's called something like a basketball. He also said that it's a sports equipment. The 194 people who were watching the battle were obviously not thinking straight. When they saw Lin Chun holding the basketball, they were all puzzled and shocked. Are you looking down on me? Veins popped out on Feng Ryu's forehead, and thousands of lightning bolts surged all over his body. Rumble. Streaks of spiraling lightning sword aura exploded from the top of his head like a whirlpool. It seems that his trump card is far more than that. How many more surprises will this Lin Chun bring to me? Let's wait and see, Yin Qianyun announced with a smile. Her heart was in full bloom. Feng Ryu of the Feng family. I challenged the representative of the Lung family, Lin Chun. Feng Ryu's elegant voice rang out, and he turned into a streak of lightning, his sword intent sweeping around the Abyss Dragon platform. It's the 1,000 Lightning Shadows. It's a mid-grade blue rank movement technique. So fast. Some of the top geniuses who surrounded the nine-headed earth demonic hound could only vaguely catch Feng Riyu's movements. Boom! Feng Riyu's lightning sword, Thunderbolt, went straight for Lin Chen's head, full of killing intent. When he pushed his movement technique to the highest level, he stabbed at the center of Lin Chen's eyebrows. Whoosh! The afterimage shattered, and the lightning sword shattered Lin Chen's afterimage. Boom! 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 The fast-paced sound of the basketball reverberated around the Abyss Dragon platform. Lin Chen appeared behind Feng Ryu, with a faint green wind swirling around him. He still had that frivolous smile on his face, and his right hand was still bouncing the basketball. The geniuses of the Dan and Mo families looked solemn. They used their spiritual senses to watch the battle, unwilling to miss any details. You dare to underestimate me? Today, I'll make you use your real trump card. Feng Ryu was so angry that he laughed. He waved his sword like thunder, and his sword tore through the void, slashing horizontally at Lin Chen's waist. At this moment, Lin Chen used the Wind Prison Hell King Steps. Everyone could sense that Lin Chen's cultivation was in the early stages of Heaven Star Border Stage 8. It's only been a few months, and this kid has already entered Heaven Star Border Stage 8? What kind of demonic cultivation speed is this? It might be because he hid his cultivation from the beginning. The show is just about to begin. Feng Ryu's 3,000 Thunderclap sword will only get faster and faster. Inside the Abyss Dragon Arena, Lin Fan turned around elegantly, and a green wind swirled around his legs. He took 2 steps and used the Wind Prison Hell King Steps. In addition, he changed hands and dribbled the ball, easily dodging the hundreds of feet-long lightning sword. Feng Ryu closed in with his sword and stabbed more than 20 times at Lin Chen's shoulders, knees, eyes, and other vital points. Lightning flashed across the void, and the sword wind was as fierce as thunder. The sword light shredded the afterimages. Lin Chen dribbled the ball alternately from left to right, dashed out like an arrow, and quickly turned around. Bang! 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 The entire arena echoed with the sound of Lin Fan's rapid dribbling. When he turned around, he quickly dribbled the ball under his crotch. Then, he suddenly bent over and retreated. His speed was unbelievably fast. The two of them fought with speed, and it was more accurate to say that Feng Ryu was the only one attacking. The Abyss Dragon Arena was filled with the afterimages of the two of them. Feng Ryu followed Lin Chen closely, and his sword technique became faster and faster. However, the afterimages of Lin Chen dribbling the ball also became faster and faster. Along the way, there were more than a dozen afterimages in the Abyss Dragon Arena. All the geniuses standing in the one-line sky felt their scalps tingle, and they gasped. He was playing basketball in the Battle Dragon Arena, where the most powerful young generation of the spiritual state was about to be decided. More terrifyingly, he was playing basketball while dodging all the sword techniques of the number 1 master below the top 10 geniuses. What kind of freak was this? Chapter 338. The sword was like a ray of divine light, slashing straight at Lin Chen's right shoulder. Lin Chen dribbled the ball and turned slightly. Dribbling the ball behind his back, he flipped the ball with his right hand and used the Wind Prison Hell King Steps to move 3,000 meters away in an instant. The electric sword slashed horizontally, following closely behind Lin Chen. It rose up and slashed at Lin Chen's neck. Unexpectedly, Lin Chen seemed to have predicted it in advance. A purplish-gold light flashed in his eyes. Lin Chen leaned slightly and stepped to the left of Feng Ryu. With a flip of his hand, the basketball immediately went past Feng Ryu's crotch. His sword missed, and Lin Chen took advantage of the gap to turn around and catch the basketball that came out from under his crotch. A playful smile hung on his lips. Damn it, this kid is humiliating me. Feng Ryu was so angry that his face turned red. His sword moved even faster and was abnormally fierce. The sword whistled, and surging thunder and lightning fell again, slashing at Lin Chen's head. Bang! Lin Chun slapped again, and the basketball went past his feet. With the wind prison hell king steps, Lin Chun flashed behind him like a ghost, caught it with one hand, and continued to dribble. Boom, boom, boom. Feng Ryu's sword moved faster and faster. In the end, only a few people could see it clearly, but even if they couldn't see the details of the battle, based on the afterimages left in the Dragon Arena and the basketball that bounced as if it had a mind of its own, everyone clearly knew that Lin Chun didn't show his true strength. Just as he said at the beginning, this battle was just a warm-up for him. That's right, a warm-up. It was just a F***king warm-up for basketball. Feng Ryu was completely in the palm of his hand just by using his body movement to play basketball. Feng Ryu didn't even have the qualifications to make him show his true strength. Damn it, this F***king bastard. Is the gap between us really that big? Feng Ryu looked up to the sky and roared. Suddenly, he held his sword with both hands and slashed fiercely. 3,000 thunderclap sword, 3,000 thunderclap swords. Between the swords crisscrossing and crisscrossing, thousands of thunderous sword shadows flashed out. At the place where the two of them had fought before, the remaining faint lightning aura seemed to have been summoned and instantly transformed into a rotating lightning sword aura. Thousands of lightning sword auras sealed off Lin Chen's escape routes in all directions. Even early-stage Quasi-Venerable would find it hard to dodge this attack. The geniuses that Feng Ryu had fought a few days ago were all shocked. They were defeated by Feng Ryu's miraculous sword technique at the very last moment. A total of 37 lightning-attributed light balls dropped. Not bad. This should be the killing move, Lin Chun said with a faint smile. Then he smacked the basketball and it bounced 1,000 meters high. Lin Chen's legs flashed with a translucent and dazzling green radiance. The whirlwind was like 10,000 strong winds. Lin Chen's entire body flashed past like a flickering light and passing shadow. At this moment, a few sharp-sighted geniuses cried out in shock. Wind energy bloodline? Does he have a special energy bloodline? It can't be wrong. He must have a special energy bloodline. This kid hit it so well. Bang, bang, bang. More than 1,000 lightning sword auras bombarded the central area of the dragon platform. Feng Ryu's expression changed drastically. I missed. Oh no, take my slam dunk. Lin Chun grabbed the basketball in the air. The dragon power in his palm erupted, and he threw the ball out. Bang. The basketball hit the back of Feng Ryu's head and sent him flying into the air. He spun a dozen times in the air before falling to the ground. The violent shock hit the back of his head, causing him to foam at the mouth and faint on the spot. Lin Chun turned in the air and landed steadily on his stone tablet. The self-made basketball bounced back and landed in Lin Chen's hand. Feng Ryu has lost consciousness. Lung family representative Lin Chun wins. For consecutive victories. Accumulated battle points. 4. The moment Yin Qinyun announced the result, the geniuses of the ancient families stared blankly at Lin Chun, who was standing on the stone tablet. This might be an unforgettable scene for them. The young man stood with the ball in his hand, his silver robe fluttering in the wind, and a wisp of a teasing smile that hadn't changed since the beginning hung on the corners of his mouth. He seemed to be cynical, mysterious, and filled with charm. For consecutive victories, defeating the number 1 expert below the top 10 geniuses was just a warm-up. Could it be that a new heavenly king is about to appear? Perhaps even a number 1 heavenly demonic blade by Ming can't defeat Feng Ryu as calmly as he can. The geniuses who had participated in the hunt for the 9-headed earth demonic hound that day were amazed. Suddenly, a figure stood up slowly. Everyone looked in the direction of the Bai family. The man had a green sword at his waist. His eyes were red, and his brows were sharp. There was an unconcealable rage on his handsome face. We've lost contact with Big Brother Bai Ming. Since that's the case, I'll take charge of the Bai family. This young man has humiliated our Bai family. If we let him get off the stage peacefully, wouldn't our Bai family's face be completely lost? The expressions of the geniuses changed. Even the top 10 geniuses were surprised and curious. Is he going to make a move? The number one of the top 10 geniuses of the current generation was Bai Ming of the Bai family. Number 2 was Ning Fan of the Ning family. Number 3 was Xue Hao of the Xue family. Number 4 was Mo Ruling of the Mo family. Number 5 was Bai Yichen of the Bai family. Number 6 was Xie Xiaochuan of the Xie family. Number 7 was Mo Feng of the Heavenly Song Academy. Number 8 was Ning Yunlan of the Ning family. Number 9 was Dan Qinxiu. Number 10 was Mo Linglong. The man in embroidered robes with a green sword at his waist leaped into the air and stepped onto the Abyss Dragon platform. Bai Yichen of the Bai family challenges the representative of the Lung family, Lin Shun. Bai Yichen drew his sword and pointed it at Lin Shun, announcing the challenge with an indifferent tone. It was actually Bai Yichen who was ranked number 5. Many geniuses subconsciously swallowed their saliva. They did not expect to witness another battle between the top 10 geniuses so soon. If they defeat one of the top 10 geniuses, not only would they obtain 5 battle points, the points accumulated by the other party would also be added into the winner's points. The face of the Bai family isn't something you can slap as you wish. How about it, Lin Shun? Do you dare to accept my challenge? Bai Yichen sneered. His battle chi fluctuated, and even the crystal walls of the space above the Abyss Dragon platform were faintly distorted. Yin Xinyan took light steps and hovered in the air. She floated to the other side of the Abyss Dragon platform and said to Lin Shun with a sweet smile, Lung family's representative, Lin Shun, are you sure you want to accept the challenge? Since Mr. Bai Yichen, who is ranked number 5 among the top 10 geniuses, is challenging you, you don't need to obtain 5 battle points. However, if you lose, all the battle points will belong to the other party. Why wouldn't I? I haven't warmed up enough yet. Lin Shun leaped into the air. The self-made basketball spun rapidly on his fingertips, stunning the geniuses standing in the one-line sky once again. What's going on? Could it be that he still wants to continue playing basketball when facing one of the top 10 geniuses, Bai Yichen, who is ranked number 5? Chapter 339. What kind of joke is this? The top 5 of the top 10 geniuses aren't something that Feng Ryu can compare to. Could it be that he doesn't plan to show some strength? I think he's bluffing, planning to ambush Bai Yichen at the critical moment. Currently, only the top 3 of the top 10 geniuses have advanced to quasi-venerable, but that's before entering holy fire level. Now, nobody can figure out Bai Yi's cultivation level. That's right. If Bai Yichen advances to quasi-venerable, even the 4 heavenly kings won't be able to defeat him easily. Almost all the geniuses thought that Lin Shun could not maintain the same level as the last battle. If he did not show his true strength, perhaps his legend would stop there. Some of the geniuses from the ancient families thought that he was waiting for an opportunity to use the basketball as a feint, saving his strength for later. Wait a minute, before the battle starts, I want to prepare first. Suddenly, Lin Shun raised his hand and said to Yin Xinyan, Prepare? Yin Xinyan was puzzled. Was he going to show his true strength? Yes, about 15 minutes. Lin Shun chuckled. Yin Xinyan frowned slightly and nodded. Sure, if it's only 15 minutes. Oof. I like to see what tricks you want to play. Bai Yichen stood with his hand on his sword, his face full of disdain. He had enough confidence in himself. No matter what tricks Lin Shun played, he was absolutely not afraid. The current him was far from what he was when he had just entered holy fire level. You're quite confident. The purple gold eyes flashed. Lin Shun seemed to have seen through where Bai Yichen's confidence came from. Lin Shun leaped and dashed around the Abyss Dragon platform, starting to pick up all the attribute light balls. In the previous battle, Lin Shun had only absorbed a small amount of attribute light balls during the battle. Wave after wave of challenges, Lin Shun did not have time to pick up the attribute light balls on the Abyss Dragon platform at all. Although it was not a problem for him to pick them up during the battle, it would not be as easy for him to expend his energy as before. At this moment, The Abyss Dragon platform gathered the attribute light balls left behind by all the geniuses from the previous battles, and a large number of attribute light balls dropped by top prodigies like Lin Shun. The host has received 5 million points of elementary wind energy, 4 million points of elementary metal energy, and 7 million points of elementary fire energy. The host has received 6 million elementary lightning energy points, 5 million elementary dark energy points, 4 million elementary wood energy points. Host has received 13 billion points of beginner chi and blood, 24 billion points of beginner battle aura essence. The host has received 6 million points of primary light energy, 3 million points of primary dark energy, 9 million points of primary metal energy. Lin Shan was the first to pick up a large number of elementary elemental energy balls. Many of the prodigies were puzzled and surprised. After picking up the ones on the east side, Lin Shan turned around. Behind him, the ground was covered with attribute light balls. It was a dazzling array, emitting all kinds of dazzling lights. Lin Shan picked up the treasures ferociously again, and the other prodigies were all dumbfounded. What was this guy doing? She fumbled around in the air and smiled like a blooming Chinese rose. Could it be that he is setting up a formation? But he doesn't even have the basic formation I needed to set up a formation. I can't see through him. I really can't see through him. In terms of results, it's like he's scratching the air. Dan Qianxiu and the other prodigies of the Dan family all shook their heads. Not only them, even the 4 heavenly kings and Yin Qinyan couldn't see through what Lin Shan was doing. Only Han Yizhi and Lung Yueqi smiled knowingly. Dan Qianxiu saw their smiles and couldn't help but ask curiously, "Do you know what he is doing?" Han Yizhi shook her head gently and smiled. "I don't know. No one has ever been able to see through our class monitor's actions. But what we can be sure of is that when he does something that others can't see through, it proves that his intentions and goals are even more unexpected." Inside the Abyss Dragon platform, the system screen quickly popped up. The host has received 8 million elementary cultivation technique soul essence, 12 million cultivation technique soul essence, 7 million cultivation technique soul essence. The host has received 50 heavenly Tao points, 30 heavenly Tao points, 150 heavenly Tao points, 50 heavenly Tao points. The host has received 8 million elementary rune energy points, 1,300,000 elementary spiritual power points. The host has opened the blue treasure chest. The host has received the advanced blue rank battle technique Demon Soul Slash. The host has received a cultivation technique attribute light ball. The host has received the intermediate blue rank battle technique Dragon Slaying 10 Hands. The host has received a cultivation technique attribute light ball. The host has received the intermediate blue rank defensive battle technique Boundless Spirit Shield. Lin Shan didn't know whether he had picked up hundreds or thousands of attribute light balls. His stats kept soaring and never stopped. Boom! An even more powerful 9-colored battle aura rose in Lin Shan's Dantian, and his cultivation advanced to the middle stage of level 8. He circulated the myriad fire web art, and countless fire elemental battle aura weaved into layers of fire in his body, concealing the small improvement in his cultivation. This time, Lin Shan had picked up a total of 6,315 attribute light balls. His stats had experienced an unprecedented increase. Especially the elementary cultivation technique, soul, essence, and elementary elemental energy. Of these two types, apart from the latter, which would appear in the bodies of fierce beasts with powerful attributes, the elementary cultivation method soul essences would usually appear in the bodies of human warriors. Moreover, the ones who had picked up this time were the top prodigies of the ancient families in the spiritual state. Each of them would be the best of the best if placed in the outside world. If placed in the Heavenly Song Academy, any one of these prodigies could easily enter the top 50 of the blue military rank. The elementary cultivation technique soul essence that they had dropped made Lin Shan tremble. With a thought, Lin Shan opened the system. Heavenly Tao Possession Pickup System version 3.0 Host. Lin Chun Cultivation. Middle stage of Heaven Star Border Realm Level 8. Limit: 5,350 Dragon Power Points. Elementary Chi and Blood Energy. 1035. 7 billion points. Elementary Battle Aura Essence. 87. 65 billion points. Elementary Spiritual Power. 22. 7 million points. Complete Spirit Transformation Realm. Elementary Cultivation Technique Soul Essence. 1. 3 billion points. Heavenly Tao Points. 1,890 points. Cultivation Technique. 9 Calamities of Creation. 95%. Cultivation Techniques. Taisher Scripture. 80%. Azura 9 Brilliance Transformation. Incomplete. Sanqing Spiritual Water Seal. Lightning Flash 1,000 Seals. 10,000 Mountains Armor. Heavenly Dragon Spear Technique Bloodline Energy. Maximum of 3 types Azure Dragon Bloodline. 50,000 points. Purple Golden Eyes Bloodline. 10,000 points. Specialty Runes. Slow Rune Level 3. Corrosion Rune Level 3. Recharge Rune Level 3. Phantom Rune. Fragment 2/3. Elementary Rune Energy. 234 million points. Elementary Elemental Energy. 400 million points for fire. 400 million points for earth. 350 million points for wood. 500 million points for metal. 500 million points for water. 500 million points for thunder. 500 million points for wind. 200 million points for light. 300 million points for dark. Update version 4. 0 requirements. Collect 10,000 Heavenly Tao points and 3 billion Elementary Cultivation Technique Soul Essences. It is estimated that talent and fusion functions will be unlocked and initial stats will be upgraded. Treasures on hand. 34 types of level 5 elixirs. 210 types of level 5 herbs. 18 types of level 6 herbs. 18 types of intermediate blue rank combat techniques. 4 types of advanced blue rank combat techniques. 21 types of level 5 treasures. Chapter 340. This time, the attribute light balls, large amounts of herbs, combat skills, and treasure weapons were all in Lin Chen's bag. Although he had obtained 4 types of advanced blue rank combat skills, he needed to update the system now and needed a large amount of ability essence. In terms of combat skills, Lin Chun could not bite off more than he could chew. He only needed the combat skills that could combine with the 9 calamities of creation to bring out the most perfect effect. Apart from that, Lin Chen's beginner elemental energy had almost undergone a qualitative change. Apart from the 2 rare light and darkness attributes, the rest were all more than 300 million points. Lin Chen's current thunder, water, and wind attributes were as high as 500 million points. When the same combat skill was used, the power would have an earth-shattering change. 15 minutes have passed. Lung family representative Lin Chun. Are you ready? Yin Xianyun calculated the time and spoke first to break Lin Chen's consciousness. He withdrew his gaze from the system and smiled. No problem at all. Then, by families by I Chin challenges Lung family representative Lin Chun. The challenge begins now. Yin Xianyun closed the ancient book she was flipping through and announced softly. Clang! As soon as she finished speaking, her sword was unsheathed like a dragon's roar. Sword will spread across 3,000 miles and pointed directly at Lin Chun. A sword aura that caused the space to tremble and made the many prodigies outside the arena feel unstoppable rose from the Abyss Dragon platform. The top 10 prodigies present all looked surprised. Bai Chen had hidden his strength so well. He's already at beginner quasi-venerable level. Xiaochuan, who was ranked 6th, stood in the sky and muttered to himself with a bitter expression. Before he and Bai Chen entered holy fire level together, they were both at peak 9th level. The difference between them was not big. Among the top 10 prodigies, only the top 3 had advanced to quasi-venerable. But now that Bai Chen had advanced to quasi-venerable, his combat strength was close to the top 3. No wonder he's so confident to challenge Lin Chun and win back the Bai family. He's already a quasi-venerable. Lin Chun is going to suffer now. All the heavens' favorites were gloating. They were all waiting to see Lin Chen's sorry state. Lin Chen die, as Bai Chen sneered. His sword struck out like a dragon's roar. The sixth rank low-level Polaris sword circulated with a faint snow-white starlight. A bright white spiral sword light flashed out from his hand. It was hundreds of feet long, and it shot out in a conical shape. A sharp aura pierced through the void. Lin Shun was 70 to 80,000 feet away, but he could still feel the sharpness of the sword tip. What a powerful sword skill. However, Wind Prison Hell, King's Step. Lin Shun took a small step forward. A faint wind swirled around him. His figure suddenly trembled and swept across the void, disappearing without a trace. This time, his wind energy was 4 times more than before, and his speed was more than 3 times faster. As expected, your movement technique can be even faster. However, I already have a way to deal with it. Bai Chen's lips curved in disdain. His fingertips shook the sword hilt. As the spiral sword light flashed, it exploded with a mysterious and violent suction force. The entire space of the dragon platform began to distort continuously. The spiral sword light formed a vortex, and the center of the vortex was the tip of Bai Chen's sword. Lin Chen's figure suddenly paused, and his movement technique speed decreased by more than half. Bai Chen stabbed over with his sword. Lin Shun was about to be pierced and minced by the sword light. Wind bloodline transformation. Whoosh! The moment Lin Shun circulated the 9 tribulations of creation to transform his special bloodline, his speed suddenly increased by several levels. He tore through the void and escaped from the spiral sword light. What's going on? Bai Chen revealed a trace of disbelief. His speed could actually increase by another level? Although Lin Chen's speed earlier was troublesome, it was nothing in the eyes of an early-stage, quasi-venerable, peerless heaven's favorite. His special energy bloodline suddenly increased by several levels, and his cultivation also broke through a small realm. When did he break through? He didn't take any elixirs, nor did he absorb a large amount of heaven and earth spirit energy. Yin Qianyun had divined all the secrets of the heavens. The moment Lin Chun revealed his cultivation, she immediately sensed his abnormality. Before the heavens' favorites had time to be surprised, Lin Chun, who had dodged out of Bai Chen's attack range, smacked the self-made basketball in the center of the dragon platform with one hand and skillfully dribbled the ball away. Seeing this scene, many heavens' favorites were so angry that they cursed on the spot. F***CK. Is he done yet? Damn it. He still wants to play basketball. This is one of the top 10 quasi-venerable geniuses. He's much stronger than Feng Ryu. Don't tell me he still wants to play basketball with others like last time. Lin Chen's actions could no longer be described as arrogant. He was completely looking down on Bai Chen, and even the majority of the heavens' favorites present. Bai Chen was undoubtedly the ceiling of this generation of heavens' favorites. On the surface, his strength was already ranked in the top 10 among the heavens' favorites. Lin Chen still wanted to play basketball in front of him? Damn it. I like to see how you still want to play. Bai Chen was so angry that he laughed instead. Wielding his sword, he charged forward fiercely. The tip of his sword slashed out 3 times in a row, its sharpness shaking the heavens. The greenish-white sword slashed open the void, transforming into a horizontal and 2 vertical sword shapes that slashed towards Lin Shun. Lin Shun dribbled the ball at extreme speed, smacking both hands together. He took a step back, turned around, and immediately switched hands to dribble the ball. It was as smooth as moving clouds and flowing water. Lin Shen's footwork flowed with wind prison cyclones that swept through the void. The blue rank intermediate movement technique, Wind Prison Hell King Steps, combined with his wind bloodline, was even more terrifying than when the creator of this movement technique used it. Damn it, I don't believe you can dodge all of my attacks. Bai Chen seemed to have been greatly humiliated. He switched from holding his sword with one hand to holding it with both hands, and his entire person turned into a blurry afterimage of sword light. The Polaris sword flowed with a green rainbow and a white glow. Bai Chen rapidly moved the tip of the sword, his speed extremely fast as he madly closed in on Lin Shun. The sword's glow was like a tide as wave after wave of attacks chased after him. Bang! 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 The violent vibration of the ball reverberated throughout the entire Abyss Dragon platform. The two of them turned into two streaks of rainbow light, shuttling from the sky to the dragon platform, and from the dragon platform to the void. Lin Shen's movement technique was extremely fast. His afterimages were left in the Abyss Dragon platform in the hundreds and thousands, and they were shattered by the greenish rainbow sword light time and time again. The afterimages of the sword light slashed on the Abyss Dragon platform again and again, leaving a finger-deep sword mark. Previously, the battle between the top 10 geniuses had also erupted, but the only one who could leave such a deep mark on the Abyss Dragon platform was Bai Chen. It was clear how terrifying his strength was. No, look, what's that on the dragon platform? Hiss. It's words carved with sword marks. Some of the stronger geniuses noticed the abnormality in the Abyss Dragon platform and sucked in a breath of cold air. In the central region of the Abyss Dragon platform, from east to north, where Lin Shun and Bai Chen had fought previously, there were shocking sword marks left behind. The sword marks were connected to each other, forming 4 large words, each of which was hundreds of feet large. Dihua Shou. He's actually using the sword moves left behind by Chen to carve the 4 large words flower show while playing basketball. What kind of freak is this? How long is he going to show off for? Chapter 341. The moment they saw the 4 words on the Abyss Dragon platform, the prodigies felt their scalps go numb. Some of the prodigies who were not mentally strong were dumbstruck, standing in the sky in a daze, unable to say a word. That was Bai Chen, a beginner quasi-venerable. He was ranked in the top 10 in the current generation and had a high chance of becoming a holy son in the future. He would become one of the 4 peak figures in the spirit state. A mid-stage Heaven Star Border Stage, 8, actually played by Chen. Moreover, he was in a state of ease. Even a novel would not dare to write like this. The MO family prodigies could not help but hold their foreheads and rub their temples, unable to accept reality. My head hurts from the show. Can someone tell me what the F***CK is going on? It's already unbelievable that he could dodge all of Bai Chen's attacks. And he's still playing basketball? Just how terrifying was Lin Shun when he was at his peak? My God, what kind of monster is this? He even deliberately used his opponent's sword attack to carve the 4 words. What the F***CK is this show of flowers? I'm convinced, if there were any surprises in this world, then letting Lin Shun participate in this holy fire-level competition was the most unexpected thing in the entire spirit state. Just how many trump cards does he still have? Yin Xinyun's beautiful eyes shone with a brilliance that had never been seen before. She originally thought that she had already figured out part of Lin Chen's background, but she did not expect that this was far from the tip of the iceberg. Bai Chen, who was silently chasing after Lin Shun, only realized that he had been completely led by Lin Shun when he turned around to draw his sword. Show of flowers? He actually dared to play with me. F***CK, I'll definitely destroy you today. Bai Chen bit his finger and smeared the blood on his fingertip onto the sword. The sword flowed with a sharpness that could reverse yin and yang, cutting through the universe. He retreated and suddenly pulled away from Lin Shun. He raised the Polaris sword high, and the sword aura suddenly soared into the sky, triggering the 9 heavens mystic light. Borrowing power from the universe, 9 mystic sun. Boom, boom, boom. Countless dazzling and blazing rays of light flashed from tens of thousands of feet high in the sky and gathered within the sword. Within Bai Chen's Polaris sword, 9 profound rune-like rays of light appeared, condensing into a 3,000-meter-long energy sword. This energy sword was flowing with a mysterious and eternal light-type battle aura that converged into a sharp edge, as if it was condensing the vast energy of the heavens. His face slightly pale, Bai Yichen threw his head back and laughed maniacally. Ha ha, Lin Shun. Let's see how you're going to hide this time. Bai Yichen's laughter shook the entire area. Endless white light surged out from his body as he transformed into a 3,000-meter tall giant formed from battle chi. Holding the Polaris sword in his hand, he stood proudly in the center of the Abyss Dragon platform. This is the advanced blue rank sword technique, 9 profound, glorious sun sword, which has been passed down for generations in the Bai family. What a terrifying power! It's said that this sword technique, when combined with the corresponding mental cultivation method, can unleash a power that's infinitely close to that of a top-grade blue rank technique. Some of the Sky Prides who knew about the Bai family couldn't help but retreat a little. Even though the One-Line Sky and the Abyss Dragon platform were far enough apart, they still couldn't help but tremble when they felt the peerless sharpness from the other side of the space. Shui Hao of the Shui family and Ning Fan of the Ning family both revealed solemn expressions at the same time. Without a doubt, even the two of them would have to use all of their strength to withstand this sword technique. How exactly is Lin Shun going to withstand this sword technique? Dan Shinchio's green eyes flashed with worry. When she looked at Lin Shun, who was inside the Abyss Dragon platform, her beautiful face couldn't help but turn blank. Not only Dan Shinchio, even the other Sky Prides who were staring at Lin Shun felt the corners of their mouths twitch slightly. Their faces were filled with disbelief. He actually stood in front of Bai Yichen with a face full of anticipation and even excitement. Even Ning Fan and Shui Hao, who were ranked second and third, respectively, found it difficult to deal with this sword technique. It seems like we've still underestimated him. Mo Linglong of the Mo family stood on the western cliff of the One-Line Sky and shook her head with a self-deprecating smile. In the face of such a sword technique, she could only surrender. She definitely couldn't be like Lin Shun, who was secretly looking forward to it. Inside the Abyss Dragon platform, staring at Bai Yichen, who was using the 9 profound, glorious sun sword, as well as the attribute light orbs that were crazily dropping from his body, how could Lin Shun not look forward to it? These were all extremely rare light attribute glowing balls. He couldn't wait for his opponent to display a few more moves. In the end, Bai Yichen's battle chi condensed into a 3,000 zhong asterisk, 33 m per zhong, tall armored figure. It wore a battle helmet, battle robes, and a jade belt around its waist. It looked like a general who was guarding an important place. It held a huge light attribute energy sword in its hand. Bai Yichen stood in the middle of the armored figure's helmet. With a hideous smile, he suddenly brandished the Polar Star sword. The tip of the sword swept across the universe and slashed down vertically. Lin Shun's footsteps were agile and light like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. He continuously changed his hands to hit the ball. Strong green light swirled under his feet. 1 step wind, 9 steps L. Rumble. The huge Polar Star sword slashed across the Abyss Dragon platform, leaving a shocking sword mark. It slashed Lin Chen's unyielding stone tablet into 2 halves. Taking 9 consecutive steps, Lin Shun carried the ball and fled 80,000 zhong away. The biting cold sword chi pierced through the void and slashed horizontally, once again leaving a shocking sword mark 2 feet deep on the Abyss Dragon platform. Lin Shun elegantly carried the ball and turned around. His footsteps were continuous, as if he was stepping on the stars. His afterimages were everywhere, and he once again dodged the energy sword. The numerous prodigies were shocked. If they were hit by that huge energy sword, they would probably explode into a bloody mist on the spot. Although he only dodged in a certain aspect, Lin Shun is even more terrifying than Bai Yichen. It's not over yet. The sword is getting faster and faster. Some of the Dan family prodigies suddenly exclaimed. The third sword attack was even faster than the previous one. Lin Shun had just stabilized his movement technique when the third sword attack came. Lin Shun narrowed his eyes. His legs suddenly twisted, and green light swirled continuously. Lin Shun leaped into the void like a star. As he spun in the air, his arms transformed into metal elemental energy bloodline. A second type of special energy bloodline? Could he be a dual elemental bloodline user? This time, it didn't escape Yin Xinyan's eyes. Her green eyes flashed with 3 hexagonal stars. It was very mysterious. She saw through Lin Chen's every move and deduced it countless times in her mind. The next moment, Lin Chen's self-made basketball was surrounded by an indestructible golden aura. The moment it was wrapped, he revealed a mocking smile and threw the basketball out. Clang! Boom! The sound of metal colliding shook the entire Abyss Dragon platform. The huge force contained in the basketball shook Bai Yichen's huge energy sword away, causing his sword to slash through the air. The basketball bounced back. Lin Chen leaped into the air and caught the rebounding basketball as he spun. Unexpectedly, the huge energy sword came slashing at him again at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, the sword was only a few dozen feet away from Lin Chen. Bai Yichen got it. Lin Chen is going to be split in half. Bai Yichen, who was in the shadow of the armor, laughed sinisterly. Die. If you don't submit, I'll chop you up right now. Just when everyone thought that Lin Chen was going to be split in half at the waist, a purple flame suddenly spread out from his back. Lin Chen's pupils, which were surrounded by purple-gold light, were calm and collected, and his expression was not the least bit flustered. From beginning to end, a cynical smile hung at the corner of his mouth. You want to chop your brother Chen up? You're dreaming. Chapter 342. Boom! The roar of wind and thunder surrounded the entire Abyss Dragon platform, and Lin Chen's figure instantly teleported into the void. His afterimage was cut into nothingness by the energy sword, turning into a wisp of purple-green smoke and disappearing. So fast. His movement technique is a little tricky. Murong Changsheng, who had always been cold and indifferent, frowned for the first time. Waves of demonic energy rose above his head. Luo Qingyu closed her fan and stood there, her crescent-like brows furrowed as she muttered to herself. I thought he was a shameless wastrel. I didn't expect him to have some ability. The speed of the flaming purple phoenix wings mainly depended on the pure strength Lin Chen controlled in his body refinement level. Lin Chen now had 5,300 dragon power points, and his pure strength was comparable to an early-stage quasi-venerable. In this state, the flaming purple phoenix wings, superimposed with 500 million points of wind-type bloodline, was the Wind Prison Hell King Step. The speed Lin Chen displayed this time was so fast that even the 4 heavenly kings found it difficult to deal with. Looks like you can't do it, little guy. Lin Chen hit the ball with one hand and hooked his finger at the 1,000-foot-tall armored energy giant in the void. F*CKU. Bai Yichen, who had always been elegant and cold, was angered by Lin Chen to the point of roaring like a wild beast for the first time. He controlled the armored energy giant formed by his light-type battle chi and held the Polaris sword in his hand, waving it continuously like a gust of wind. The sword was only a little bit away from hitting Lin Chen every time. With the superimposition of the flaming purple phoenix wings, Lin Chen's speed was like adding wings to a tiger. He moved more freely on the Abyss Dragon platform, like a fish in water. The bouncing ball spun and bounced on his fingertips, and he shot a shot from time to time, shaking off Bai Yichen's sword. Oh no, if this goes on, Big Brother Yichen will lose for sure. The Bai family's geniuses were so angry that their teeth itched, and they were terrified. The leader of the group, a heaven's proud daughter of the Bai clan who was at the middle stage of the 9th level, said with a serious expression, "That might not be the case. For example, Lin Chen's exquisite and profound movement technique requires an extraordinary amount of battle chi. If his battle chi is exhausted, then it will be cozened by Yichen's chance." A sharp glint flashed across the woman's beautiful eyes as she spoke word by word. When that time comes, it'll be time for Big Brother Bai Yichen to strike back at him. Rumble. For the first time, the trembling space and the Abyss Dragon platform started to shake violently. Every time Bai Chen swung his sword, 1 to 3 light attribute light balls would drop. Most people could see that the current Bai Chen wanted to fight with Lin Shun to the very end. Whoever ran out of battle chi first would most likely win this battle. Bai Chen's expression was somewhat pale as he continuously chewed on high-grade pills. However, there was a limit to the amount of battle chi that could be refined and replenished. If he consumed too many pills, his meridians would be broken and his cultivation would drop. In the worst-case scenario, he would become a cripple on the spot. I don't believe that you, Lin Shun, can maintain this speed forever. Bai Chen controlled the energy giant and slashed several times, following closely behind Lin Chen's footsteps. Sword Chi soared into the sky, sweeping through the surroundings. As it plowed through the dragon platform, it left behind shocking sword scars. Every slash of Bai Chen's 9 Mystic Sun sword was enough to divide mountains and cut hundreds of li of rivers with just a wave of his hand. If not for the space within the dragon platform being sturdy enough, the power of the battle would have already threatened the people outside the one-line sky. Bai Chen closed in step by step. In front of him, Lin Shun was as insignificant as an ant. However, his smooth dribbling and throwing had never stopped. The entire Abyss Dragon platform was filled with afterimages of his dribbling and spinning. In the end, Bai Chen forced Lin Shun to the west of the dragon platform. His movement techniques, speed, finally slowed down. In the end, Lin Shen's battle chi was exhausted, and he was forced to the edge of the dragon platform. F*CK. You don't have any battle chi left, right? Go ahead and jump, dribble, throw. Continue to F*King show off. Bai Chen's pale and hideous face couldn't help but laugh maniacally. In the end, he was still the one who held on to the end of this battle. Amidst his maniacal laughter, his sword suddenly slashed down diagonally. Light elemental sword chi, which shook yin and yang into chaos, slashed down layer by layer, like a sword of divine punishment from above the 9 heavens. It's still not certain who will have the last laugh. Lin Chen's lips curled into a confident smile, and his mental cultivation technique was suddenly activated. At this moment, heaven and earth roared. Boom, boom. As space distorted, a low rumble was transmitted. With Lin Shun as the center, a huge energy vortex entered his body and transformed into his battle chi at an extremely fast speed. Bang! The vast light elemental sword chi slashed down diagonally. Lin Shen's afterimages appeared again, and he easily dodged this aggressive slash. I've never heard of such a strange request. Do you want me to continue jumping and dribbling? Sure. This handsome guy will satisfy you. Lin Shun dribbled and laughed loudly, causing the mouths of many prodigies to twitch. That scene just now can't be wrong. It's definitely not something that can only be triggered by a high-tier mental cultivation technique. It's a phenomenon that can only be triggered after experiencing the baptism and refinement of the sacred fire and absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. This kid actually absorbed the sacred fire so quickly? Is he crazy? Regardless of where he obtained the sacred fire seed, it's a divine item for breaking through bottlenecks. The most perfect way to use it is when a quasi-venerate enters the Yuan-venerate realm. Could it be that he still has the confidence to find and safely absorb the second sacred fire seed? The most despairing person was none other than Bai Chen. He thought that he had finally held on until Lin Chen's battle chi was exhausted. He didn't expect that this guy had actually swallowed the sacred fire seed and absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth within 1,000 feet in a single breath. No, look, what's that? At that moment, the prodigies of the Dan and Mo families exclaimed in unison. As the smoke and dust gradually dissipated, there were actually 4 additional words on the Abyss Dragon platform. Previously, everyone had been immersed in the speed contest between Lin Shun and Bai Chen. Almost no one had paid attention to what the sword marks left on the dragon platform looked like. Now that they took a closer look, there were actually 4 new words carved out. Gu, too beautiful. Gu, too beautiful? What the hell is this? Oh my god. Could it be that Bai Chen, who went all out, was still played by him? We were all wrong. From the beginning to the end, Bai Chen simply couldn't beat him. Bai Chen was just a toy in his palm. A terrifying fear welled up in the hearts of all the prodigies in the one-line sky. When they looked at the smile on Lin Chen's face again, it gave off a completely different feeling from when they first met him. That frivolous smile was completely devoid of the pretentious pretense it had been at the beginning. Instead, it contained boundless mystery and a domineering aura that looked down on the world. No one knew who it was, but as their teeth trembled slightly, they muttered to themselves, "Just how strong is he?" Chapter 343. When Bai Chen turned around and saw that the sword marks left behind by his fierce attacks had actually formed his sentence, "You're too beautiful," he was stunned on the spot. He had actually been fooled by him again. Could it be that from the beginning to the end, I was just rolling around in his palm? I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Bai Chen's face was pale, and there was a sweet taste in his throat. When he vomited blood 4 times, the entire armored giant maintained by battle Qi instantly vanished. His eyes rolled back, and when Bai Chen fell to the ground, he had already fainted. Anger attacked his heart, and his blood was in chaos. He, who was originally hanging on to his last breath, actually fainted from anger. Yan Xinyun's slender fingers dotted the ancient book. The rapidly flipping ancient book was overflowing with star-like rays, deducing endless heavenly secrets. Finally, Yan Xinyun retracted her fingers and looked deeply at Lin Shun in the dragon platform. How strange. Until now, I still haven't been able to deduce Lin Chen's origin and fate. How could he have such a strange fate? There isn't even a most basic omen of good or bad luck. This person doesn't seem to belong to this world. How unreasonable. Yan Xinyun's thoughts were fruitless. Seeing that Bai Chen in the dragon platform had no reaction, she smiled gracefully. Bai Chen challenges Lung family's representative, Lin Shun. Winner, Lin Shun. 5 consecutive victories. According to the rules, if the 10 great geniuses are defeated, their battle points will also belong to the opponent. Therefore, Bai Chen's 11 battle points belong to Lin Shun. The moment the results were announced, many prodigies had solemn expressions. With 11 battle points plus 5 battle points, Lin Chen's accumulated battle points had already surpassed anyone who was currently participating in the dragon platform. It was enough for him to participate in the top 8. In the top 8, there was a 50% chance of encountering the 4 heavenly kings. Is there anyone else who wants to continue the challenge? Yan Xinyun stood in the air like a graceful butterfly, waving her slender hand lightly as she smiled faintly. The moment she said that, all the prodigies in the one-line sky fell silent. Who would still dare to challenge him? With Lin Chen's unfathomable strength, if she went, she would either be playing basketball with him or attending a beauty show. Wasn't she just asking to be humiliated? Even the mysterious black-robed young man who had fought with Lin Shun in the Tomb of 100 Venerables was in the one-line sky. He shook his head and sighed, his heart filled with bitterness. In the beginning, the two of them were still able to exchange a few moves. But ever since Lin Shun had secretly learned his black dragon palm, the distance between the two of them had been like heaven and earth. Yan Xinyun was not surprised by this result. Right now, only the 4 heavenly kings could shake Lin Shun. Since that's the case, let's begin the final 8 battles of the Battle Dragon Arena. The participants of the top 8 are Luo Qingyu, Murong Changsheng, Yi Yinxia, Ling Tian, Xue Hao, Ning Fan, Yi Qingyu, and Lin Shun. When Yan Xinyun announced the top 8, Lin Shun was still busy picking up his attribute light balls. Host has received 7 million points of elementary light attribute energy, 5 million points of elementary battle chi essence. Host has received 13 million points of elementary cultivation method soul essence, 2 billion points of elementary blood chi essence. Host has picked up an attribute light ball of a cultivation method. You have received the high-level blue rank sword technique, 9 profound glorious sun sword. This time, the number of attribute light balls that Lin Shun had picked up was not small either. In the past, Lin Shun had only picked up a few or more than 10 attribute light balls of the cultivation method soul essence. The total number of attribute light balls would only add up to a few million points. However, the attribute light balls that Lin Shun had picked up this time were worth millions or even tens of millions of attribute points of the cultivation method soul essence and light attribute energy, worthy of being one of the top 10 geniuses of the quasi-venerable realm. The quality of these attribute light balls is really awesome. Lin Shun praised from the bottom of his heart. When he raised his head and looked at Yin Qianyun, the beautiful woman's hands were changing rapidly. 8 arrow tokens with different colors floated in the air and shot towards the 8 participants of the top 8 at the same time. The top 8 will begin tomorrow. Participants only need to infuse their battle chi into the arrow token to see the first color of the arrow token. Those who draw the same color will be their opponents in the top 8. The order of the participants is yellow, green, blue, and blue. After dawn tomorrow, the 2 who have obtained the yellow arrow token, please enter the Abyss Dragon Arena. After announcing the results, Yin Xinyun tapped lightly in the air and returned to the one-line sky. Top 8, huh? I wonder how many attribute light balls I can pick up this time. Lin Shun held the arrow token in anticipation. He leaped and returned to Han Yiji and the other side. Class monitor, Yiji congratulates you in advance for becoming the champion. Han Yiji smiled faintly. Lin Shun shrugged. I just want to play basketball in peace. Han Xian heard this and rolled her eyes coquettishly. Lung Yuechi said worriedly as ripples appeared in her beautiful eyes. How is it? Are you confident? Winning or losing is secondary. Your safety is the most important. Lin Shun felt warmth in his heart and nodded confidently when he sensed the rare worry on the cold and beautiful woman's face. No problem. Although the 4 heavenly kings are strong, I'm not someone to be trifled with. I dare not say that I'm the strongest, but at least in terms of looks, they've already lost to me. Lin Shen's words made the beauties burst into laughter. After chatting for a while, Lin Shun sat cross-legged and circulated his mental cultivation method. He absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and refined it into his battle chi. After receiving the baptism of the sacred fire seed, Lin Shun used only 15 minutes to recover all his battle chi that he had lost earlier. Apart from that, Lin Shun could also vaguely feel that his mental cultivation method had touched the limits of its limits. Reading from the system, the proficiency of the 9 calamities of creation had always been at 95%. Even though Lin Shun had picked up a large amount of elemental energy balls from the Abyss Dragon platform and raised all 9 elements by hundreds of millions of points, it was still 95%. The last 5% was still a mystery. Perhaps only when all 9 elements break through 1 billion points will the mental cultivation method of the 9 calamities of creation be perfected and allow me to break through the final limit of this mental cultivation method. Lin Shun retracted his gaze and exhaled. At this time, it was already dawn. At this time, as if they had already expected this, more and more ancient families' geniuses flew to the one-line sky and gathered together. Every match in the top 8 would be a battle between the younger generation of the ancient families. This was an opportunity to witness the birth of history. If not for the fact that they had other matters to attend to, no one would want to miss this grand occasion. Lin Shun took out the arrow token that Yin Qianyun had given him and injected a trace of battle chi into it. Wong. The arrow token emitted a faint blue light. Lin Shen's arrow token was blue. The order of the first round of the top 8 was yellow, green, blue, and blue. Lin Shen's first round was the finale. Finale? That's good too. At that time, I can take all the attribute balls from the first round. Chapter 344. Lin Shun put away the arrow token, got up and walked to a cliff, standing together with Lung Yuechi and the others. Han Yiji smiled when she saw that Lin Shan was ready. Class monitor, the Bai family said last night that they would make you pay in blood when their top genius, Bai Ming, returns. But speaking of which, Bai Ming's strength is extremely dazzling. As the number one of the top 10 geniuses, he actually didn't participate in this Battle Dragon arena. Han Ziyun was puzzled. Heavenly Demon, Sword Bai Ming. Lin Chen shook his head and laughed. That guy might be hiding somewhere to heal himself. The young man in white that Lin Shan had encountered in the battle with a 9-headed Earth Demon Hound was most likely the Bai family's Heavenly Demon, Sword Bai Ming. It was rare to see someone with a quasi-venerable cultivation level and such an overbearing sword technique among the younger generation. His characteristics were very similar to Bai Ming's. The time limit is up. The quarterfinals officially begin. Participants with yellow tokens, please enter the Battle Dragon Arena. Yan Xinyun stood on the east side of the Abyss Dragon Arena. When she spoke, all the prodigies looked at the 4 Heavenly Kings and Lin Shan. Who are the yellow arrow tokens? Boom! A sword gleam flashed across the sky as a cold-looking man in white entered the Abyss Dragon Arena. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and stood with a sword on his back. His expression was cold like ice that would not melt for thousands of years. His sword was not out of its scabbard, but 3,000 sword gleams formed a sword wheel behind him. His aura was unstoppable. The moment this white-robed man entered the arena, everyone's expression became abnormally solemn. The 4 Heavenly Kings. Ling Tian. I didn't expect Ling Tian to start the quarterfinals. What a terrifying sword intent. Just by staring at his back, I can already feel the piercing pain in my eyes. The legendary sword Venerable's bloodline. He's a born sword genius. It's said that before he entered the Holy Fire level, he fought a veteran Yuan Venerable to a draw. Many prodigies from the ancient families sucked in cold breaths. According to the battle results, Ling Tian was the most likely one of the 4 Heavenly Kings of the Sword Venerable's bloodline to become the strongest of the generation. He started the first battle right from the start. Rip! The blood-red light was like a blade. As it entered the void, it stepped into the Abyss Dragon platform. The blood-red, clothed young man walked forward slowly. His face was handsome yet gloomy, and his eyes were filled with seriousness and caution. Shui Hao from a Shui clan. He's in the first battle of the quarterfinals. What a pity, he'll definitely lose against Ling Tian. Many geniuses sighed. Everyone was fervently discussing how many strikes Shui Hao could take from Ling Tian. Lin Shan activated his purple-gold pupils and saw the state of their bodies and their battle chi. Shui Hao's battle chi was of the rare blood attribute. It was like a giant beast of blood energy lurking in his body. Ling Tian, on the other hand, was even more frightening. His bloodline rippled with a sharp sharpness, as though an ocean of sword chi was hidden within his flesh and bones. Shui Hao is at the early quasi-venerable stage, while Ling Tian is at the late quasi-venerable stage. In the case of 2 people of the same level, the difference in cultivation is fatal. After a few breaths, Lin Shan felt a piercing pain in his eyes. This was the first time he had encountered such a phenomenon after activating his purple-gold pupils. Damn it, the bloodline in Ling Tian's body is so terrifying. If I look at it any longer, I'll go blind. Withdrawing his purple-gold pupils, Lin Shan rubbed his eyes and cursed in his heart. The first battle of the quarterfinals, Shui Hao from the Shui family versus Ling Tian from the Ling family. Let the battle begin. Yan Xinyun tapped lightly with her jade-like hand, and the flashing yellow arrow tokens in their arms were put into her bag. Boom! Azura bloodstained technique. Shui Hao's hand seals changed rapidly, and his body released a blood-like battle chi that surged on the surface of his body. His celestial battle soul showed signs of transforming into Yuan Mansion by a large margin. His cultivation had stepped into the mid-stage of quasi-venerable. Many geniuses' eyes suddenly became very serious. Shui Hao had actually used the Shui family's unique high-level secret technique right from the start. Ling Tian, draw your sword. Shuehao roared in a hoarse voice, and his battle chi condensed like a ferocious dragon. That will depend on whether you have the ability to make me draw my sword. Ling Tian said coldly and disdainfully. Shuehao was so angry that his veins popped out. Is that so? Then let's try this move. Blood demonic Azura hand. His blood chi was like a dragon, surging and roaming in the meridians of Shuehao's arms. He suddenly grabbed out with his palm. The Yuan mansion in his dantian burst out with a power that could shatter stars and split the moon. Through the grade 6 weapon, Blood Owl Claw, it transformed into a bloody palm that was several acres in size. Most of the people began to hold their breaths. Shuehao had used a killing move right from the start. What everyone did not expect was that Ling Tian did not even draw his sword. His eyes contained 3,000 sword lights, and he casually raised his finger, gently drawing a line in the void with his fingertip. An ear-piercing and sharp sound of silk tearing could be heard in the void. Chi! Bang! A faint sword light flashed past, and the bloody palm exploded into a bloody mist on the spot. Many geniuses were dumbfounded, and their hearts trembled. The killing move of the number 3 of the top 10 geniuses, an attack that was infinitely close to the level of a Yuan Venerable, was actually broken so easily. Oh, Shuehao felt something sweet in his throat, and he almost spat out blood. He took a dozen steps back, and his expression was one of disbelief. Is that all you've got? Ling Tian looked down on everyone, and his lips curled into a disdainful smile. What a joke. I don't care about the 4 heavenly kings. Die for me. Shuehao roared to the sky, and his hands clasped together. The grade 6 battle chi Blood Owl Claw that he wore condensed a huge amount of blood chi and demonic intent. Ka. The demonic intent and blood chi turned into a blood-red battle saber. The blade was condensed from battle chi, and there were dragon patterns engraved on it, as well as secret drawings of distorted human faces. Apart from that, there was a faint sound of some creature gnawing on bones from the saber, and it was eerie. Big Brother Shuehao was actually forced to use the blood slaughter 1,000 slashes in one move. It can't be helped. His opponent is Ling Tian, who is most likely one of the 4 heavenly kings. The geniuses of the Shui family were shocked, and their palms were sweating as they stared at the situation in the Abyss Dragon platform. On the other side, Lin Chen's eyes lit up, and he swallowed his saliva excitedly. What a domineering battle technique, and it's dropping attribute light balls. In Lin Chen's eyes, Shuehao's attack had dropped a few dozen attribute light balls. Blood slaughter 1,000 slashes. Shuehao raised the blood-red battle saber and slashed down with both hands. As the blade swept through the void, large cracks appeared on the spatial crystal walls. This is a little interesting. Ling Tian smiled coldly, and the green jade divine sword on his back was suddenly unsheathed. Clang! Grade 6 sword, Dragon Abyss 7-star sword. Even from thousands of feet away, everyone could feel the unique sharpness of the Dragon Abyss 7-star sword. It was also a grade 6 weapon, but in Ling Tian's hands, it had a completely different power. Chapter 345. A grade 6 weapon was something that only a Yuan Venerate could control. While a few Heaven's Dipper sovereigns could barely control a grade 6 weapon, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to truly unleash its might. The sword was 3.5 feet long and embedded with 7-star jades. The body of the sword was ethereal and profound, and the hilt was like a dragon's head. It was like a coiled dragon, and its sharpness was like the sun and moon. Ling Tian was awe-inspiring, his white robes picturesque. He stabbed out with his sword, piercing through the blood-red battle saber. The hilt of the sword rotated, and the blade suddenly twisted. Swish! 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 Thousands of sword rays shot out from the blade. Bang! One sword. Shuehao's ultimate battle technique had been broken. Shuehao spat out blood and retreated violently. He was being forced back by the sword rays. He gritted his teeth, and the blood owl claws overlapped and pushed out fiercely. Demonic blood armor. 1,000 feet long blood-red battle aura circled the void, condensing into 100 feet blood armor to protect Xue Hao, blocking the sword rays. Ling Tian's eyes were like stars, and with a flash of sword light, the Dragon Abyss 7-star sword was pulled out in reverse, and a needle-like sword light was released. Clang! The space crystal wall broke. This seemingly ordinary sword strike had cut Xue Hao's powerful blood armor into 2 halves. Xue Hao was bathed in blood, but his eyes still flashed with a violent and savage battle intent. He tapped the air alone, and his footwork was like an illusion. His battle aura tore the spatial crystal wall apart, and he turned into a blood-red light, escaping into the void at extreme speed. If you only have so many trump cards, then let's end this. Ling Tian slowly closed his sharp eyes and threw the 7-star sword into the air, stabbing it into the ground of the dragon platform. He spread out his hands, and his palms suddenly pushed towards the sky, and shouted coldly, "Break!" The entire Abyss Dragon platform was instantly filled with sword aura, and thousands of sword rays emerged from the ground. The thousands of swords shot out, piercing through the void. Chi! A shadow hidden in the void was pierced by the sword rays, and blood spurted out. Xue Hao's blood spurted out in an arc and fell to the ground. He, who was lying in a pool of blood, had already fainted unconscious. At this moment, the entire arena fell into a strange silence. 1 sword to break the skill, 2 swords to break the defense, and 3 swords to break the body to determine victory. Most of the Heaven's favorites thought that if Xue Hao gave it his all, he would be able to put up a good fight. It was even possible that the fight could go on for hundreds of rounds. However, Ling Tian only used 3 swords to send him off the stage. The might of the 4 heavenly kings was well-deserved. Sheathing his sword, Ling Tian turned around and left without any emotions. Ling Tian wins the first battle of the quarterfinals. Yin Xinyun announced the result, and a trace of surprise flashed through her beautiful eyes. The honorable sword bloodline, huh? It doesn't look like a descendant at all. It looks more like a bloodline inheritance and memory awakening. In this battle, Xue Hao dropped a total of 89 attribute light balls. It's a pity that Ling Tian didn't drop a single attribute light ball. Lin Shen licked his lips and said excitedly, "I wonder how many attribute points I can get from this guy if I meet him. I'm really looking forward to it." Standing not far away from Lung Yueqi and the rest, the Dan family prodigies saw Lin Shen's excited and expectant look, and they couldn't help but feel their scalps tingle. After seeing Ling Tian's strength, this guy could still show such an excited and expectant look? It seems that I still don't know much about him. Dan Xinxiu was shocked, and her beautiful eyes glanced at Lin Shan from time to time. Some of the top 10 geniuses who had fantasized about themselves finally recognized the gap between themselves and the 4 heavenly kings after witnessing Xue Hao's battle. This is too strong. Who can shake the position of the 4 heavenly kings? If the 4 heavenly kings didn't meet each other in the first round of the quarterfinals, I'm afraid no one can beat them, right? Maybe that Lin Chun has the possibility? Don't F asterisk king talk nonsense. No matter how monstrous Lin Chun is, he's only a heaven dipper 8. Can he turn the sky upside down? Don't you know the gap between a heaven dipper realm and a quasi-venerable? Moreover, the combat power of the 4 heavenly kings is close to the Yuan Venerate realm. While many prodigies were discussing, Yin Xinyun waved her hand lightly. "The second battle of the quarterfinals, please come on stage." Swoosh, 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 swoosh. 2 figures fell into the arena almost at the same time. The woman on the left had a sexy and enchanting figure. Her lips were red, and she was dressed in red robes. Her eyebrows were curved like half moons, and her bronze skin exuded an exotic beauty. There were 2 blood-red battle axes hanging on her slender waist. It was Yi Yinxia, one of the 4 heavenly kings again. The other person was dressed in black robes and had a saber hanging on his waist. His face was handsome and cold. He was Ning Fan of the Ning family, the second place of the top 10 geniuses against the 4 heavenly kings. The second battle of the quarterfinals, Yi Yanxia of the Yi family against Ning Fan of the Ning family. Yin Xinyun waved her hand, and their arrow tokens, which were shining with green light, floated in the air. Young Lady Yi Yanxia, please enlighten me. Ning Fan cupped his fists slightly. The battle saber hanging on his waist roared like an evil dragon. He unsheathed his saber in an instant, and it was like a galaxy flowing in reverse. 1,000 zhong * 3, 33 m per zhong. Long saber chi that was shaped like a galaxy swept across the entire Abyss Dragon platform and slashed at Yi Yanxia. Just in time, Yi Yanxia smiled warmly. Her jade-like hand held the blood-red battle axe hanging on her waist. His purple-golden eyes were suddenly activated to the highest level. Lin Shun stared at Yi Yanxia without blinking. He did not want to miss any details. Under Lin Chen's probing, Yi Yanxia, who was at the mid-quasi-venerable realm, did not circulate a single trace of battle chi. She raised the blood-red battle axe with one hand and swung it down. That seemingly slender and delicate arm of the beautiful woman emitted a pure strength that even Lin Shan was shocked by. It was like an ancient barbaric dragon launching a surprise attack on its enemy. Asterisk boom. Asterisk bang. Asterisk the battle axe was swung vertically, splitting heaven and earth and crushing everything in its path. She forcefully tore apart Ning Fan's saber chi with pure strength. 8,500 dragon power points. Lin Shan sucked in a breath of cold air. Yi Yanxia's pure strength had already exceeded 8,500 dragon power points. No, it's not over yet. Dan Xinxiu and Mo Linglong exclaimed at the same time. The moment the white saber chi was destroyed, it turned into countless rays of starlight and gathered into a saber chi again. I'm not that easy to deal with. Ning Fan suddenly shouted coldly. Then, he pulled out another short saber from his waist and merged the two sabers together. His aura force soared to the sky. 100 transformations of black heaven, sovereign extermination / Ning Fan suddenly swung the two sabers together, sending out a green and white saber light. The surging saber force turned into an ancient white whale with a sky-devouring chi and charged at Mo Linglong. When the white whale charged at Ning Fan, its chi soared into the sky, causing cracks to appear on the several hundred zhong * 3, 33 m per zhong, tall spatial crystal wall. The surface of the dragon platform actually cracked because of the might of the attack. It's almost equivalent to an attack from a Yuan venerable realm expert. Ning Yunlan's calm expression revealed a rare excitement. The corners of Yi Yanxia's lips curved into a faint smile. The moment she held the blood-red battle axe with both hands, she raised it above her head. Lin Chen's purple-golden eyes could clearly see that her pure strength was rising steadily. 9,500 dragon power points. 9,999 dragon power points. Chapter 346. Holding the axe with both hands, Yi Yanxia swung it vertically. Her mid-venerable realm cultivation base suddenly erupted, and she shouted coldly. Cloud desolation / absolute 4 directions. The faint red axe light was like an attack that could split heaven and earth. It easily tore apart the crystal walls of the dragon platform that were reinforced by the barrier like tofu. Chi * the ancient white whale was split into two on the spot. The greenish-white blade light shattered and vanished into nothingness. The axe light slashed into the dragon platform, shaking the entire platform and turning into 4 rays of light that charged at Ning Fan. His expression was filled with panic. His movement technique was like a dragon diving into the sky. Ning Fan took a step forward and disappeared into the void. Just as he tried his best to dodge the 4 rays of light, Yi Yanxia approached him like a fleeting light. The moment she swung the battle axe, Ning Fan, who was close to her, felt a series of sonic booms. His eardrums were pierced and blood spurted out. The blood-red battle axe was as violent as a ferocious dragon. Ning Fan activated his defensive combat technique. His battle chi surged, and he raised his blade to block the attack. Asterisk bang, asterisk boom. Asterisk Yi Yinxia swung her axe 3 times in a row. They broke Ning Fan's personal treasure and broke his defensive combat technique. The last attack even broke his arms. I surrender. Just as she swung her 4th axe, Ning Fan raised his hands and surrendered. Everyone was shocked. He was drenched in sweat. There was blood at the corner of his mouth. Panting heavily, he cupped his fists with his broken arms. I admit defeat in the face of the might of the 4 heavenly kings. Yi Yinxia smiled sweetly. You're also very strong. You force me to reveal a little of my pure strength. The top 10 geniuses who ranked second could only last 5 rounds against Yi Yinxia. The 4 heavenly kings are indeed monstrous. Keeping her battle axe, Yi Yinxia leaped into the sky and returned to her position in the 1-lane sky. Yi Yinxia wins the 2nd battle. Yan Qinyun suddenly announced the result. The audience was still filled with sighs. 43 light balls with different attributes? That's barely enough. This Ning Fan, on the other hand, has a rare light attribute battle chi. It's quite beneficial to me. Lin Shun stroked his chin. Yi Yinxia's performance had exceeded his expectations. She had 9,999 Dragon Power points. She was only 1 step away from reaching 10,000 Dragon Power points. If she took this step, Yi Yinxia would be able to contend against a Yuan Venerate with pure strength. When the time came, her battle chi would advance to the Yuan Venerate level. Her battle chi and physique cultivation would make her demonic in both areas. Her combat strength would grow to a terrifying level among her peers. Just as Lin Shun was thinking hard about how to deal with Yi Yinxia's troublesome pure power, the 3rd battle began. The 3rd battle was between Luo Qingyu, the exceptional beauty, and Yi Qingyu, the dark horse other than Lin Shun. However, the whole place was suddenly filled with unprecedented shock and bewilderment. Everyone was surprised and shocked, not only because of Luo Qingyu and Yi Qingyu, but also because of Lin Shun. That's right, the name list for the 3rd round had been released, so there were only 2 people left in the 1st round of the top 8. These 2 were the opponents of the 4th match, Lin Shun and Murong Changsheng. Murong Changsheng was the only successor of the Murong family. Among the younger generation, he was the only person whose spiritual power could reach the transcendence realm. It was said that he had obtained the inheritance of an ancient almighty and obtained many spiritual secret techniques. Coupled with his own special physique, his spiritual power cultivation had soared. No one in the younger generation could escape from his spiritual secret techniques. One look could cause one's spirit to sink and lose all will to fight. That was because there were only a few methods to defend against spiritual power attacks. Everyone might have 1 or 2 treasured weapons to defend against spiritual power attacks, but their understanding and attainments of spiritual power could only be said to be rather poor. They were extremely lacking in countermeasures. Once, 2 Yuan Venerates had tried to kill Murong Changsheng because of a feud between ancient families. He had used his spiritual illusion technique to control them, causing 1 Yuan Venerate to die and the other to be injured. In terms of difficulty, Murong Changsheng was even more terrifying than Ling Tian. He was the most difficult one to deal with among the 4 heavenly kings. Although Ling Tian's sword moves were ever-changing and had reached the peak of the younger generation, at least there were traces to be found. However, Murong Changsheng's spiritual secret techniques were simply untraceable. No one even knew when he would make a move. Or rather, even if he made a move, one wouldn't know. This kind of opponent was the most terrifying. Humph! Murong Changsheng snorted disdainfully. When he looked at Lin Shun, the corners of his mouth curled into a disdainful smile. Lin Shun also looked at him at the same time. Their gazes collided in the void. So many attribute light balls. Ha ha ha. Looks like I'm going to make a killing this time. Lin Shun licked his lips. The way he looked at Murong Changsheng was like a hunter examining his prey. Am I seeing things? Lin Shun, this brat, is still smiling? He's crazy. How can he still smile when facing Murong Changsheng? Forget it. Is there anything in this world that Lin Shun can't do? I'm actually looking forward to the fourth battle. Some of the geniuses saw Lin Shen's hunter's gaze and the curl of his lips and felt their scalps go numb. Looking at the Abyss Dragon Arena again, Luo Qingyu was going against the Yi family's dark horse, Yi Qingyu. Qingyu. Young Master Qingyu. Speaking of which, our names are somewhat similar. Don't you think it's fate that brought us together? Yi Qingyu smiled gracefully. Just as a smile appeared on his handsome face, it stopped abruptly. Luo Qingyu's peak, quasi-venerable aura swept through the entire arena. In terms of cultivation base, Luo Qingyu was the person who had entered the Holy Fire level and was closest to the Yuan Venerate level. Glib tongue, get down. Luo Qingyu's beautiful face curled into an extremely handsome and elegant sneer. He waved the white feather fan in his hand slightly. Above his head, two huge flaming golden crows suddenly condensed. The terrifying temperature burned the space crystal walls until they were distorted and broken. Sacred flames bathed his slender figure, making him look like a prince in a fairy tale. He was sacred, pure, and elegant. The female geniuses present were mesmerized by him. Yi Qingyu's expression changed slightly. A grayish-white sword glow circled around his body and turned into a shield in front of him. The golden crow's flames were as hot as the sun, shooting out thousands of feet of blazing light. Yi Qingyu's sword shield, which could withstand a peak quasi-venerable's attack, was being burned by the golden crow's flames and was disappearing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Outside the one-line skyline, Mr. Lin knew very well that Luo Qingyu was a beautiful girl dressed as a man. Therefore, when he looked at her body, he could not help but recall the feeling he had when he touched her that day. TSK, TSK, TSK. She's so handsome when she's dressed as a man. She's almost 1/10 of me. I wonder what she looks like when she wears a dress. However, why does her heart technique feel a little familiar? Lin Shen stared at Luo Qingyu. The flirtatious smile at the corner of his mouth fell into the beautiful eyes of Han Ziyun and Lung Yueqi, who were beside him, causing the two beauties to have some strange thoughts in their minds. This guy is so interested in looking at men. Could it be that he really likes men? Thinking of this, the two ladies looked at Lin Shan with some resentment and looked at Han Yizhi, who was beside him. Han Yizhi's face was slightly red. She stole a few glances at Lin Shan, causing the tips of her delicate ears to turn red. Chapter 348. The great mystic demon world enveloped the Abyss Dragon platform, and the terrifying spiritual pressure caused even the prodigies in the one-line sky to feel suffocated. In Lin Shen's eyes, countless corpses were constantly emerging from the swamp. Some of them had 6 wings, and they were like the corpses of ancient beasts, bursting with overflowing hostility as they attacked him. Lin Shun shattered the 6-winged corpse with a single palm strike, and the corpses that covered the sky were like waves of blood. They were like a pack of hungry wolves that had discovered their prey, aggressively pouncing towards him. Lin Shen skillfully controlled the Divine Wilderness 9 arts to face the enemy. Combined with his pure strength, he launched a series of fierce attacks. In the eyes of the prodigies in the one-line sky, Lin Shan was crazily swinging his fists and using battle techniques around the Abyss Dragon platform. His pair of gray eyes had completely lost their divine essence. Your strength is not bad. Your fighting spirit and consciousness are also very strong. Although I can't forcefully control you, it's more than enough to trap you. Murong Changsheng stood at the edge of the Abyss Dragon platform with his hands behind his back. He leisurely walked around the Abyss Dragon platform, revealing a smile like a cat playing with a mouse. He didn't need to make a move at all. He only needed to wait for Lin Shun to fall into the illusion, exhaust his battle chi and energy, and even some life-saving trump cards. Then, he could attack and take down Lin Shun. Dark Dragon Palm. Lin Shun, whose mind had gone berserk, executed the Dark Dragon Palm. He perfectly combined his pure strength with his dark battle chi and slammed his palm on the ground of the Abyss Dragon platform. Boom! Bang! 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 The spiraling layers of dark gas and 3 layers of dark dragon energy released a power that could shatter stars. It fiercely shook the ground, and the Abyss Dragon platform was on the verge of collapse. At the place where the palm struck, a spiral-shaped crater that was several feet wide appeared. At the edge of the crater, there were 3.5 feet deep cracks. Many people felt their scalps tingle. What a perverted battle technique. If it hit an ordinary quasi-venerable, they would be F*King smashed to pieces. It's a pity that this Lin Shun is a natural monster. If he hadn't met Murong Changsheng, he might have had a good battle. Some prodigies felt pity for Lin Shun. Even Yi Yanxiao of the 4 heavenly kings revealed a look of surprise. What a profound battle technique. It's a perfect fusion of Dragon Battle Chi and Dragon Battle Chi in a very mysterious way. Then, it was released by Dark Battle Chi. If I could obtain this battle technique, my battle strength might be able to increase to the next level. Yi Yanxiao was secretly shocked. Murong Changsheng frowned and clicked his tongue. At this moment, Lin Shun, who was scurrying around, slowed down. His battle chi in battle was dragon platform. He had finally had no dragon chi. He used his movement technique and extreme speed. As the purple phoenix wings flapped, purple flames rolled. Lin Chen's body turned into countless afterimages as he retreated continuously. King's King, his battle, and with Lin's battle. Battle Murong Lin, here's my chance. Murong Changsheng's eyes shone like lightning. His palm rotated with a faint demonic intent, locking onto Lin Chen's back. It's over. Lin Chen is going to lose. This thought flashed through everyone's mind at almost the same time, except for one person. That was Lung Yueqi. Her cold and beautiful face revealed a trace of a smile for the first time in this emergency situation. Really, this little guy makes people worry all the time. Just as the beautiful woman's smile sounded, Lin Chen suddenly turned around and faced Murong Changsheng. He pushed out with both hands. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Lin Chen had broken through the illusion? However, when everyone subconsciously looked at Lin Chen's eyes, his pupils were still gray. He hadn't broken through the illusion at all. His consciousness was still in the illusory world. This moment of imminent peril caused Murong Changsheng's heart to feel a sense of danger. Something's wrong. What's wrong? What's wrong with this kid? Murong Changsheng originally planned to retreat, but his heart hesitated. It was also this moment of hesitation that the grayish-white talisman light was pushed out from Lin Chen's palm. The corners of his mouth rose slightly. Slow rune. Lin Chen's rune energy dropped by 40 million points. 40 million points of slow rune could even slow down the level 6 9-headed Earth Demon Hound for a while. In an instant, Murong Changsheng had a slight reaction. He activated his 2 great defensive treasures, the longevity Yin-Yang robe and the purple mystic armor. At this moment, all the geniuses' mouths were slightly agape as they stared at the situation in the Abyss Dragon platform in disbelief. What kind of move is this? My battle chi and movement were affected, and he broke through my illusion of the great mystic devil world? Murong Changsheng showed shock and panic for the first time since stepping into the one-line sky. However, he was filled with even more doubts. Lin Chen's pupils were still gray. He still hadn't broken free from the illusion of the great mystic devil world. No, he hasn't broken free from the illusion. But how can he see through my real body? Murong Changsheng didn't have time to think or doubt. The moment Lin Chen used the slow rune, Azura 9 Brilliance Transformation was activated again. Thunder Punishment Transformation. Dark Dragon Palm. Thousands of lightning bolts roared all over his body. Lin Chen's battle chi cultivation temporarily advanced to the middle of level 9. His arms were pitch black and awe-inspiring. Dark-type battle chi like a dark abyss filled the air. There were also layers of 6 layers of dark energy entangling like giant dragons. In the system status bar, Lin Chen lost another 6 million points of rune energy. His palm slammed on Murong Changxing's chest. The violent, pure strength combined with the dark battle chi was like 10,000 giant dragons roaring together. Even with 2 great defensive treasures, part of the terrifying 6-layer dark dragon energy still penetrated the defense of the treasures. Puchi. Murong Changxing fiercely spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was suddenly sent flying, and the sound of his ribs breaking could be heard. The moment his palms touched Murong Changxing's body, the corrosive rune was immediately activated. Lin Chen's rune energy decreased by another 10 million points. Lin Chen raised his right palm and fiercely slammed it on the top of Murong Changxing's head. This time, it was also the 6-layer dark dragon energy. Not good. Murong Changxing's heart was filled with panic. If this palm hit him, his head would shatter on the spot. While his battle chi was frantically resisting Lin Chen's slow rune, Murong Changxing immediately transferred the energy of the 2 great defensive treasures to the top of his head to protect his vital points. Bang! His palm shook the top of his head. This time, the power of the Dark Dragon palm was more than 90% blocked. Lin Chen seemed to have expected this. His left hand rotated, and he was ready to strike again. He backhanded his palm towards Murong Changxing's abdomen. This palm was still the Dark Dragon palm, with the charge rune's 6-layer Dark Dragon energy. Chi! Bang, bang, bang. More than half of Murong Changxing's 2 great defensive treasures were damaged. His abdomen was injured, and he spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood, mixed with a few pieces of flesh. Murong Changxing's internal organs had been displaced by Lin Chen's attack. Even a Yuan venerate's physical body would most likely be seriously injured or even killed by Lin Chen's fierce attacks without the protection of battle chi, let alone his mid-quasi-venerate body. Lin Chen's Dark Dragon palm was so fierce that everyone present was stunned. Chapter 350. Demon Statue, Azura's Fury. Murong Changxing laughed maniacally the moment he chanted the incantation and formed a hand seal. The 3-headed, 6-armed Azura demon statue above his head roared into the sky and released a spiritual wave that caused heaven and earth to tremble. It was like a hurricane that could destroy everything. In an instant, wherever the spiritual sound wave passed, the spatial crystal walls of the entire Abyss Dragon platform cracked inch by inch. Even though the prodigies standing outside the platform had the protection of the spatial crystal walls, they still felt dizzy at this moment. Most of the prodigies felt as if the entire world had been turned upside down. They couldn't even stand properly. More than 50 prodigies fainted on the spot due to the spiritual shock. Everyone was shocked. Just the aftershock of the spiritual attack had such terrifying power. If Lin Chen was in the great mystic demon world, what kind of terrifying attack would he face? At this critical moment, Lin Chen was about to use the slowing rune to counterattack. His spiritual power was like the sea and rivers, constantly expanding and rising to a whole new level. His spiritual perception domain expanded by 3 times, no, 5 times. The great mystic demon world he was in suddenly collapsed, and collapsed on its own. This is... Lin Chen was overjoyed. He couldn't care too much about it. He suddenly used a slowing rune with 20 million points of rune energy to slow down the spiritual attack by a bit. The sluggish rune was not only effective on living beings, but could also slow down everything within a designated area. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Taking advantage of this gap, Lin Chen's hand seals changed again as he circulated the grand beginning Bible. The endless spiritual vortex that filled the void suddenly expanded several times. It spun extremely quickly, constantly breaking down and dispersing the massive amount of spiritual attacks. It was as if a person charged over with 100 tiger power, but Lin Shun used a soft method to redirect the opponent's strength to another position. His spiritual power actually broke through. Murong Changxing's Dharma characteristic realm spiritual power immediately sensed the abnormality, and his pupils shrank. His mental energy revolved continuously, scattering the mental attacks in all directions, crashing into the surroundings of the dragon platform. Impossible. Even if he enters the transcendence realm, he won't be able to withstand my Azura's wrath. Murong Changxing's hair stood on end in anger. He no longer had his previous arrogance and indifference. His hair danced in the wind. In fact, Lin Shun didn't take the terrifying mental attack head-on. Instead, he used the slow rune and the Taisher holy scripture to push the mental attack to the side. It was exactly the same as when they faced the black demon hornets. However, Murong Changxing's Azura's wrath was more than 10 times more terrifying than the wasp tide. Lin Shun had to rely on the slowing rune to have a chance to imitate the previous method. Murong Changxing's palms were filled with demonic music. Endless spiritual wails and demonic battle aura swirled around his palms as destructive fluctuations overflowed from his palms. Demonic sound palm of great sorrow. Brother Chun, I'm not afraid of you now. Lin Chen's eyes flashed with a ruthless light, as if he had nothing to lose and was not afraid of wearing shoes. He actually took the initiative to charge forward, his palms chopping down like knives. His spiritual energy transformed into snowflakes and slashed out like sharp blades. Taisher Saint Slash. Streaks of spiritual energy blade light crisscrossed the void and clashed with Murong Changxing's demonic sound palm of great sorrow. In terms of battle aura, Lin Shun was weaker and was at a disadvantage in the battle. However, with the combination of the charging rune and pure strength, coupled with his strange and unpredictable speed, Murong Changxing was actually unable to take him down in a short time. His spiritual energy actually broke through on the spot. What a monster. That's the spiritual energy of the transcendence realm. I didn't expect him to be able to fight Murong Changxing to this extent. A small number of prodigies who could still stand up and maintain their rationality stared intently at the battle. The battle between the two sides began to heat up. At first, Lin Shun was only at a disadvantage. However, as he fought, he also picked up the attribute light balls that fell from Murong Changxing's body. The more he fought, the fiercer he became. The ancient Azure Dragon, with the Azure Dragon Shadow, also continuously supported Lin Shun in the battle. One man and one dragon attacked together. Although the Transcendence Realm's mental strength could detect the ancient Azure Dragon's tracks, it required a high degree of concentration. Murong Changxing did not have the time or opportunity to see through the ancient Azure Dragon's tracks in the midst of an intense battle. After the two sides fought for more than 200 rounds, Lin Shun had already begun to gain the upper hand in the battle. This brat's spiritual energy secret manual is very mysterious. He can actually control multiple spiritual energies at the same time to fight. Together with that strange Azure Dragon, I will be exhausted to death if this continues. I can't save my final killing move. Murong Changxing gritted his teeth and pushed his palm forward. The demonic sound palm of great sorrow was blasted 1,000 feet away. The spiritual ring flickered, and a pitch-black scroll flew out from Murong Changxing's head and rotated in the air. When the pitch-black scroll appeared, something in Lin Shen's arms seemed to be pulled, throbbing faintly. Layers of mystic runes were inscribed on the scroll, depicting the ancient holy demon era. Giant demons shook the world and were sealed in the pitch-black scroll. The mystical demon scroll was Murong Changxing's greatest secret. The ancient inheritance he obtained was related to this item. Even with his current talent, he could only peek into 1/10,000th of the secrets of this item and could only barely control it. Today, he was forced into a dead end by Lin Shun. Only by using this item could he possibly defeat Lin Shun. Murong Changsheng formed a strange hand seal at lightning speed. His remaining spiritual energy and battle chi were all injected into the mystical demon scroll. Mystical demon scroll, under a demon's sanction. The mystical demon scroll rolled out a vast black cloud, as if a demon from ancient times had descended. Seeing the vast black cloud, the other three of the four heavenly kings all revealed a solemn expression. Even as strong as they were, they also felt a fatal threat from the black cloud. This is an item of the demon race. Is Murong Changsheng a member of the demon race? Killing intent flashed in Yin Qinyun's green eyes, but it was immediately restrained and hidden. Boom, boom, boom. Dozens of spiritual giant demons descended from the churning black cloud on the Abyss Dragon platform. Some were hundreds of feet tall, and some were hundreds of feet tall. Surging demonic intent rose from their bodies. Their bodies seemed to be made of steel. Some had the face of a human and the body of a beast, and some had the face of a beast and the body of a human. They stood on both feet and walked, holding giant axes or giant spears in their hands. Their bodies were grayish-white, and some of them had exuberant hair and dense scales. They were surging with killing intent. The arrival of the demons was as if they had returned to the ancient era of the demon race. Lin Shen's expression was solemn. Five-colored dragon chi coiled around his arm, and the five dragons' imperial spear flashed in his palm. This spear? Yin Qinyun pinched her slender fingers and calculated, revealing an interested smile. Interesting, the ancient war emperor's spear actually fell into his hands. Chapter 351. You're not the only one who's keeping a trump card. Lin Shen's metal-type battle chi circulated for the first time, connecting hundreds of specific meridians. His silver robe fluttered, golden light shone, and his eyes were like stars. With a golden dragon spear in his hand, he was like a god of war who had descended to the mortal world. Just as Lin Shen was about to use his strongest battle skill, a purple light shot out from his chest. The purple veil fluttered in the air. It was Lin Shen's illusory, limitless dream. The illusory, limitless dream overflowed with purple light and emitted a powerful mental suction force, causing those demon phantoms to erupt with painful roars. Many huge demon phantoms were constantly twisting, and strands of mental energy were being extracted into the illusory, limitless dream. What's going on? This is a peerless secret skill of the demon catalog. Murong Changsheng's expression changed. He activated the demon catalog, trying to absorb his mental energy and battle chi back. The speed at which the illusory, limitless dream absorbed his mental energy became faster and faster. Murong Changsheng watched helplessly as a large portion of his mental energy was extracted. Those monstrous mental demons were constantly twisting and turning into mental energy strands that were being extracted and absorbed into the illusory, limitless dream, and finally turned into ashes. Even Lin Shen, who was prepared to fight to the death, was dumbfounded. He had not expected this at all. The illusory, limitless dream overflowed with brilliance and turned into a wisp of smoke that drifted back into Lin Shen's palm. The purple veil trembled slightly, and a soft and obscure voice like a young girl's echoed in Lin Shen's mind. Master. Lin Shen was shocked. After absorbing Murong Changsheng's mental energy, the illusory, limitless dream actually had a little spirituality. What a magical treasure. If I let it absorb a few more large amounts of mental energy, could it still have the intelligence of a human? The illusory, limitless dream wrapped around Lin Shen's arm like a small snake, and then the light dimmed, turning into an ordinary purple veil that was inconspicuous. Murong Changsheng knelt on the ground in a daze. His secret technique, which was enough to threaten any of the four heavenly kings, couldn't even harm a single hair on Lin Shen's head. Participant, Murong Changsheng, Do you still have the strength to fight? If not, the outcome of the battle will be decided. Yin Qianyin transmitted a warning to Murong Changsheng. When he raised his head, Lin Shun, with a spear in one hand, and the ancient azure dragon aggressively attacked. I surrender. Murong Changsheng raised his hand in a sorry state and shouted hoarsely. Hearing these words of surrender, the geniuses outside the one-line sky were all shocked. The battle has ended. The victor is Lin Shun. The moment Yin Qianyin announced the result, all the Sky Prides present were shocked. Defeated. As one of the 4 heavenly kings, Murong Changsheng was actually defeated by a mere Heavenly Dipper Realm Level 8. Rising step by step, Lin Shun, a new heavenly king, was born. The 4 heavenly kings were officially changed to the 5 heavenly kings. Many Sky Prides thought that the battle between Lin Shun and Murong Changsheng was even more exciting than the finals. Yin Qianyin's beautiful eyes stared at the strand of purple muslin wrapped around Lin Chen's arm and couldn't help but exclaim in her heart, "What a young man full of secrets!" Murong Changsheng's eyes were about to crack. He carefully put away the mystical demon catalog, viciously and regretfully glanced at Lin Shun, and his figure flashed, escaping from the abyss dragon platform. Then, Yin Qianyin said seriously, "The top 4 have been determined. The semifinals will begin in 3 days. Those who get the same color arrow token will be the opponent in the semifinals. Everyone, please be prepared." As soon as her voice fell, 4 arrow tokens were distributed to the hands of 4 people, namely Ling Tian, Luo Qingyu, Yi Yinxia, and Lin Shun. Lin Shun received the arrow token with one hand, put it into his arms, put away his spear, and removed the Azura 9 Brilliance transformation. He took a deep breath and looked around the arena. There were still hundreds of attribute light balls left in the Abyss Dragon platform, all of which were left from the previous quarterfinals. The battle with Murong Changsheng was especially intense, so Lin Shun didn't have time to pick up too many attribute light balls. Other than the attribute light balls, there were also 2 blue gold treasure chests floating in the air. Host has received 5 million points of rune energy, 2,300,000 points of spiritual power, 15 million points of dark energy, 79 million points of elementary skill essence. Host has received 28 billion points of elementary battle chi essence, 7 billion points of elementary chi blood, 4,800,000 points of metal energy, 10 million points of elementary skill essence. The attribute light balls this time were second only to the ones accumulated in the Abyss Dragon platform over the past few days. Lin Shen's originally weak state had recovered to 90%, and his battle chi cultivation was advancing toward late-stage level 8. Host has opened the blue gold treasure chest and received the characteristic rune Evolution Stone. Host has opened the blue gold treasure chest and received the special spiritual battle skill, Azura's Wrath. The last blue gold treasure chest made Lin Shun overjoyed. It turned out to be a spiritual secret manual. It was the super powerful spiritual attack that Murong Changsheng had used before. If it weren't for the Genesis Holy Scripture's special spiritual power control method and the slow rune, Lin Shun would have been shaken into an idiot by that spiritual attack. What a great harvest this time! I've broken through to the Transcendence realm and received a top-grade spiritual secret manual. Lin Shun grinned and leaped back into the one-line sky. Class monitor, are you all right? Did the illusion cause any mental trauma to you? Why don't you forfeit the next round? Han Zian was even more worried than Han Yizhi. She was afraid that Murong Changsheng would cause permanent damage to Lin Chen's mental state. I'm fine. In terms of results, I'm sincerely grateful to Murong Changsheng. Lin Chen chuckled. The prodigy of the Dan family beside him heard this and broke out in cold sweat. Motherf asterisk her, you're thanking him? Then why did you make his chrysanthemum region bleed? That's how you F asterisk king thank him? Lin Shun was racing against time. After exchanging a few words with everyone, he immediately sat down cross-legged and sent his consciousness into the system. System, I want to learn Azura's Wrath. System notification. Azura's Wrath is a top-grade blue battle skill. If you want to perfectly inherit it, you will need to spend 300 million beginner technique essence. Do you want to inherit it? Hearing this price, Lin Shin sucked in a breath of cold air. He had inherited many advanced blue battle skills, but none of them cost more than 40 million. A top-grade blue battle skill cost 300 million? Looking at his 9 billion elementary technique soul essences, he realized that most of them were from the Battle Dragon platform, where the top geniuses of the spiritual state gathered. That was why he had the chance to collect so many of them. However, thinking of the power of Azura's Wrath, Lin Shun gritted his teeth and said, "I want to inherit it." System received. Consumed 300 million beginner technique essence. Inheriting Azura's Wrath for the host. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Inheriting the battle skill only took 1 day. In the remaining 2 days, Lin Shin studied how to combine Azura's Wrath with the mind control method of the Taisha Bible. At this moment, everyone in the one-line sky was looking forward to the battle, not wanting to miss a single moment. The first semi-final round was about to begin. It was a real battle between heavenly kings. The first battle was between Yi Yinxia and the sword genius, Ling Tian. The second battle was between Luo Qingyu and the fifth heavenly king, Lin Chun. Chapter 352. Yi Yinxia versus Ling Tian. On one side was a peerless swordsman, while on the other was a peerless genius who cultivated both battle and physique. On the Abyss Dragon platform, the two of them faced each other. Yi Yinxia held her axe with both hands. She had to go all out against Ling Tian. "I have no interest in beating up women, but if necessary, I won't show any mercy." Ling Tian's expression was cold as he slowly drew his sword. The sword was unsheathed, and the sky shook. Whirlwind swept away the clouds and the 7 stars of the dragon abyss. "You'll regret it if you look down on women." Yi Yinxia swung her blood-colored axe and slashed across the sky. The ferocious and domineering axe radiance cut through everything, creating a deep crack on the surface of the dragon platform. How domineering! Her first attack is comparable to an early-stage Yuan Venerate's attack. The expressions of the 10 great geniuses changed slightly, and they couldn't take their eyes off the battle. Lin Shun, who had just exited his cultivation state, activated his purple-gold eyes and observed the battle with interest. Yi Yinxia has indeed used 9,999 dragon power from the start. Combined with her mid-stage quasi-venerate cultivation, her every move has the strength of a Yuan Venerate. Ling Tian, who is standing proudly on the Abyss Dragon platform, sneered disdainfully. He wiped his 7 stars of the Dragon Abyss sword with his fingertips and swung his sword diagonally. The blade flowed with a faint golden aura. Insignificant skill. Even if it's fused with battle techniques, it's only brute force and no technique. Let me, Ling Tian, show you what a true ultimate skill is. The golden aura of the 7 stars of the Dragon Abyss suddenly expanded, and the sword aura soared into the sky and slashed down. High Heaven Sword Art. Golden Dipper reverses heaven and earth. The golden aura was invincible, and it turned into a vertical slash of sword aura that cut through Yi Yinxia's axe radiance on the spot. The dragon platform shook violently. Yi Yinxia let out a muffled groan, and blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Her beautiful figure flashed, and her afterimage tore through the void. Her dual axes hacked wildly, and the force of her axe was so violent that it could crush mountains and rivers. She wanted to force her way closer to Ling Tian and start a close combat that was advantageous to her. High Heaven Sword Art. Dark rain sweeping clouds. With a cold snort, the Dragon Abyss sword in Ling Tian's hands turned cold and austere. Brandishing it with extreme speed, the sword light in the sky turned into countless droplets, resembling a violent storm. The blood-red battle axe swung, leaving afterimages in the air, and collided with the raindrops of sword light. Clang! 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 Bang! 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 The two figures tangled together. What shocked everyone was that every drop of rain contained a sharpness that could pierce through the void. Yi Yanxia's clothes were dyed red, and in a close combat situation, she was actually suppressed by Ling Tian. When the rain of sword light landed on the dragon platform, it penetrated the ground with a bang. The Abyss Dragon platform, which was said to be able to withstand a Yuan Venerate's attack, was as fragile as a piece of tofu in the face of this rain of sword light. Sword light crisscrossed, axe shadows flashed, and the space crystal walls were continuously shattered by the torrential waves of qi. The two of them fought fiercely for more than 100 rounds, and Yi Yanxia was at a disadvantage the entire time. In the close combat arena that she was familiar with, she was completely suppressed by Ling Tian. He didn't even have a chance to fight back. Ling Tian's strength had once again exceeded everyone's expectations. Yi Yanxia, who was also one of the 4 heavenly kings, had actually been suppressed from the start till now. Every attack of Yi Yanxia's was comparable to an early first-level Yuan Venerate. With my blood, I ignite my blood body. Yi Yanxia burst out with a cold snort, and the blood energy in her body burned intensely. Her entire body was bathed in blood-red flames, which are the flames of her blood energy burning. Her pure strength has reached 10,000 dragon power. Lin Shen narrowed his eyes. Now was the time to go all out. Sky-devouring axe. The blood-red axes were raised high, and the burning blood flames condensed into the axes, forming a dark red line. Yi Yanxia suddenly slashed down. Do you really think that you are on the same level as me? Yi Yanxia, see reality clearly. Ling Tian pointed his sword at the sky, and his body was as still as a mountain. An earth-shattering aura was formed. Ling Tian's sword art, yellow earth reopening tens of thousands of miles. Like a flash of lightning, he raised his sword and slashed downwards. A steel rock sword with sparkling yellow scales appeared out of thin air and fiercely swung out together with the Dragon Abyss 7-star sword. Countless forces passed through the void and collided with the dark red bloodline with a loud bang. Boom! The battle between the two of them caused the entire Abyss Dragon platform to shake violently, and dust rose high into the sky. The earth-shattering sound of metal colliding reverberated in the dragon platform. The two of them were still fighting, but apart from a small number of people, most of the prodigy's vision was obscured by the dust. When the smoke and dust dissipated, what entered everyone's eyes was a series of intertwining fire dragons dancing in the air. Ling Tian pointed his sword at Yi Yanxia, who was covered in blood. She swung her axe to cut down 3 fire dragons, but her body was pierced through by the sword light. Poochie! Blood splattered in the sky, and Yi Yanxia fell to the ground in disbelief. Her delicate body was covered in injuries, and she didn't even have the strength to stand up. Ling Tian landed on the ground, and his white robes were like snow. He held his sword in his hand and pointed it at the beauty's neck. Do you admit defeat? Yi Yanxia gritted her teeth. Her face was pale, and her eyes were dim as she spat out a few words. Yanxia concedes defeat. Ling Tian sheathed his sword. Just like the previous round, he was confident and at ease. He had advanced to the finals. Most of the prodigies lamented that it was a pity that they hadn't been able to see the final decisive battle. They thumped their chests and sighed deeply. However, the small number of people who had seen the final round fell into a strange silence. Is this the true strength of the new sword venerate, Ling Tian? He only used 3 types of the Ling Tian 5-element sword technique and defeated Yi Yanxia, who is also one of the 4 heavenly kings. How terrifying! An ordinary Yuan venerate can only die in front of him. Some of the top 10 prodigies revealed unprecedented fear, and their understanding of Ling Tian rose to a whole new level. When Yi Yanxia ignited her bloodline, her combat strength was equivalent to a mid-first level Yuan venerate. She was still suppressed by Ling Tian. If he used his full strength, he might be comparable to a second-level Yuan venerate. Lin Shen took a deep breath. He didn't have much confidence in facing Ling Tian. If it hadn't been for the attribute light balls, Lin Shan wouldn't have wanted to provoke an opponent of this level. However, he could only fight to the end now. Yi Yanxia dropped a total of 48 attribute light balls, while Ling Tian dropped 5. Looks like I'll have to collect the attribute light balls first. Lin Shan looked around the Abyss Dragon platform and rubbed his chin as he muttered to himself. The second battle of the semi-finals, Lin Shan versus Luo Qingyu. Yin Xinyun announced impatiently as she collected the 2 tokens that were flickering with green light. After exchanging a few words with Han Yizhi and the others, Lin Shan leaped up and entered the dragon platform. Luo Qingyu gracefully stepped into the dragon platform, causing many female prodigies to be mesmerized. Luo Qingyu, who had always been elegant and graceful, couldn't help but release a murderous aura when she saw Lin Shan. Lin Shan seemed to recall something when he sensed the gaze of the beauty. He shrugged his shoulders and laughed mockingly. Beauty, the situation was urgent, so I only touched it casually. Furthermore, it was a mirror image clone. Why are you so angry? Luo Qingyu's pretty face flushed red, but her murderous aura intensified as she spoke coldly. Lecture, I'll make you pay the price later. Chapter 353. Luo Qingyu's expression left Lin Dong dumbfounded. All I did was touch your mirror image's chest. Is there a need to be like this? You're making it seem like I'm not going to recognize you after having a one-night stand with you. Am I such a person? Luo Qingyu's delicate hand gripped the white feather fan tightly as she waved it. Water-type energy surged out like a golden mountain and turned into a huge ocean, drowning the entire Abyss Dragon platform. The huge ocean waves looked violent, but everything was under Luo Qingyu's control. She controlled every strand of energy so that it didn't spill out of the dragon platform, but it filled the entire dragon platform, leaving Lin Shan with nowhere to hide. There was no chance for him to escape from her attack range. Her late-stage, quasi-venerable cultivation suppressed the entire area. Fire-type energy condensed into a sky, and flaming golden crows soared in the sky, surrounding Lin Shan. Blue sea fish tide, flying swordfish formed by battle chi, surged into the ocean waves. The power of each swordfish was no less than the full-force attack of a quasi-venerable. They formed a group and charged towards Lin Shan with great momentum. The scene was especially spectacular. It's indeed the improved version of the chaotic 5-spirit technique. Interesting. In front of the 9 tribulations of Genesis, the chaotic 5-spirit technique is nothing. Lin Shan laughed heartily as he used the 9 brilliance transformations. His cultivation reached the mid-stage of the 9th tier. His 9 types of battle chi were all converted into special energy bloodlines. He activated the Divine Wilderness 9 arts and pointed his finger rapidly. Earth-type battle chi broke through the ground and formed a prison. Boom, boom, boom. 4 mountain peaks that were hundreds of meters tall instantly formed around Lin Shan, blocking most of the flying heaven swordfish. When a small portion of the flying heaven swordfish surged towards Lin Shan, he blocked all of them with his myriad Yuexian armor. Although 60% of the 4 mountains were destroyed, they blocked half of the ocean waves. 5 elements attribute. Earth counters water. Golden crow, blazing sun. Luo Qingyu formed a seal with her slender hands, and the golden crows in the sky swooped down, turning into 3 blazing pillars of fire. They were like 3 new suns, emitting unprecedented heat. Soft water, freezing sky, finger. Lin Shan continued to embellish, and the blue light of the frozen star shot out. Moreover, with Lin Shan as the center, the vast water-type energy broke through the air and appeared, turning into 3 water dragons that coiled around the blue light that cut through the void. Bang! Bang! Chi! Lin Shan's improved version of the frozen sky finger was still able to block all of Luo Qingyu's attacks. 10,000 trees, forest sea. Luo Qingyu gritted her teeth and waved her feather fan as if she was unwilling to admit defeat. Tens of thousands of shocking trees, each several feet in size, rained down like a violent storm. Rumble. 10,000 shocking would contain an extremely strong force and power. One might not be of much use, but if there were 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, that was enough to shake the entire Abyss Dragon platform. His golden arm carried a strand of aged gold chi. Lin Shun held the 5 dragons' imperial spear and skillfully circulated the divine wilderness 9 arts. The ruin energy decreased by 700,000 points. Whoosh! The golden dragon spear transformed into a golden dragon shattering the heavens, filling the sky with invincible golden spear shadows, piercing through and tearing apart the battle chi shocking wood. Of the 5 elements, metal restrains wood. The battle between the two of them became more and more intense. It was truly a visual feast for all the prodigies present. Their mental cultivation methods were similar in nature. They contained battle chis of many different attributes, and when they combined the battle chis of many different attributes into a combination attack, their attacks were extremely terrifying. Before each attack, Lin Shin seemed to be able to predict what kind of battle chi attribute Luo Qingyu would use to attack him. Every time, he would be able to immediately find the corresponding attribute to counter it, and use the divine 9 arts of desolation to counterattack. The entire Abyss Dragon platform was filled with streaks of metallic aura that pierced the sky, slicing through the air and sweeping across the void, causing one's heart to tremble in fear. Immediately after, blazing flames interweaved and danced in the air like a deluge of heavenly flowers, incinerating the aura of heptametal. After the explosion, sparks flew in all directions, and the power bloomed one after another. As the water flooded the dragon platform, thousands of huge waves swept across. The dense, earthy aura of thousands of mountains stood around the dragon platform like an immovable black tortoise. When they collided, it was even more shocking. The battle between the two of them was an eye-opener for all the prodigies. They couldn't take their eyes off the battle at all. This wasn't a battle between the two of them. It looked more like a collision between 2 extremely large disasters from the ancient times, forming a torrent of energy that was tearing at each other. Why do I feel that their mental cultivation methods are a little similar? I have the same feeling too. The trajectory of their battle chis is very similar to that of the 5 elements. However, it's obvious that Lin Chen's method is superior. His elemental battle chis can actually be converted into special energy bloodlines. Doesn't this mean that he has 5 types of special energy bloodlines? If Lin Chen's cultivation could reach the level of a quasi-venerable, the outcome of this battle would be obvious. The elemental restraints are too severe. Furthermore, Lin Shun didn't give Luo Qingyu any chance at all. Many prodigies could see that there was something fishy going on. Luo Qingyu, who was in the midst of an intense battle, was shocked. Why does he also have 5 elemental battle chis? Could it be that he is cultivating the same mental cultivation method as me? The more they fought, the more shocked Luo Qingyu was. The prodigal son in front of her was switching his elemental battle chis, which coincided with her mental cultivation method. Although Lin Chen's cultivation was only at the mid-stage of Heaven Star Border Realm Stage 9, his 9 tribulations of Genesis could convert elemental battle chis into special energy bloodlines and unleash the strength of an energy bloodline possessor. Furthermore, with the power of the recharging rune, his elemental restraints could reduce 70% of his opponent's attack power. As for the remaining 30%, even if Lin Chen's attack was only at the level of a quasi-venerable, he could still destroy it. Little girl, I'm more familiar with the chaotic 5-spear incantation than you are. No matter how you change it, it will still be the same. Before you make your move, I will know what elemental attack you want to use. With a teasing smile, Lin Chen's secret voice transmission reached Luo Qingyu's ears, which stunned her. He actually knows about the chaotic 5-spirit incantation? Who is he? Luo Qingyu was stunned at first. Then, When she heard that he had actually called her a little girl, her face turned red from embarrassment. Her jade-like hand tossed the white feather fan lightly and pushed it out. The intense water-type energy condensed into a green wave that rotated. The temperature in the air dropped rapidly, and a large amount of ice shards and snow fell. Luo Qingyu's slender hand grabbed lightly, and the water elemental energy condensed into a huge frost claw. Frost claw of extinction. Lin Shun suddenly activated his earth elemental bloodline and used the 10,000 Mountains armor. When the armor covered his body, Lin Shun held the Five Dragons' imperial spear with both hands and waved it violently, smashing the frost claw in the most violent way possible. As expected, his mental cultivation method is the second half of the chaotic five-spirit incantation. It is more complete and perfect than mine. Luo Qingyu was not surprised that her attack was broken. Instead, she was happy. But before she could be happy for half a breath, she bit her cherry lips and her eyes shone with unwillingness. This mental cultivation method could have appeared in anyone else's body, but why did it have to be this stinking hooligan? Thinking about what he did to her mirror image, Luo Qingyu was embarrassed and angry. Chapter 354. You seem to be very interested in my mental cultivation technique, right? At this moment, Lin Chen blinked his eyes and smiled. He sent a secret message to Luo Qingyu. To tell you the truth, my mental cultivation technique is the second half of the chaotic five-spirit incantation. Do you want it, girl? Lin Chen raised his eyebrows. Luo Qingyu stopped fighting and stared at Lin Chen in shock. It would be a lie if she said she wasn't tempted. Luo Qingyu knew very well what it would mean to her if she could get the second half of the chaotic five-spirit incantation. She would have 5 types of super elemental battle chi that could be transformed into special energy bloodlines at any time. Even her ancestors couldn't find the second half of this mental cultivation technique, even after spending half of their lives and all their connections. Lin Shun had fully demonstrated its potential and power. Even if I believe you have it, how can I be sure that you will give it to me? Luo Qingyu questioned as she stared at Lin Shun with her jade-green eyes. Of course it's a deal. I can give you the second half of the mental cultivation technique. However, you have to agree to my conditions. The conditions mentioned by Lin Shun made Luo Qingyu's eyes light up. She never believed in free lunches. If it was a deal, she would be more than happy to accept it. Tell me your conditions. Luo Qingyu sent a secret message to Su Ke without any change in her expression. The sudden silence of the two puzzled the crowd outside the arena. They were fighting fiercely just a moment ago. Why did they suddenly stop fighting? They seemed to be secretly communicating with each other. Yan Xianyun's jade-green eyes moved as she stared at Lin Chen curiously. What's going on? Why did the two of them suddenly stop fighting? Could it be that they realized the similarities between them halfway through the fight? That's why sparks of love were ignited between them. Love your head. They are two guys. What else do you want to happen between them? Just when everyone was wondering what was going on, the attack suddenly started again. Luo Qingyu's face was filled with anger as she attacked Lin Chen ferociously. Lin Chen unfolded the purple phoenix wings and used his movement technique. Like thousands of illusory shadows, he dodged many of the attacks. At this point, Lin Chen seemed to smile. His lips moved slightly as he sent a secret message to Luo Qingyu. Luo Qingyu's attacks stopped once again. Before anyone could react, Luo Qingyu launched another round of attacks. What did the class monitor say to make Luo Qingyu so angry? Could it be? Lin Chen made a cuckold out of Luo Qingyu and secretly said, "Is your wife so nice?" Puffed. As everyone started to speculate, Luo Qingyu stopped her ferocious attacks once again. Her expression was one of extreme struggle and sullenness. She clenched her teeth tightly, her expression fluctuating. If I follow your conditions, will you really give me the second half of the Primal Chaos 5-Spirit formula? Luo Qingyu furrowed her brows and stared at Lin Shun. Why are you so long-winded? I, Marshal Lin, have traversed the 9 prefectures and 8 desolations. What I care about is my handsomeness and integrity. If you don't believe me, I'll give you the goods first. Lin Shen's words were shocking. He took out a jade bamboo scroll and tossed it to Luo Qingyu. Luo Qingyu reached out and caught it. She used her battle chi to check the contents of the jade bamboo scroll. She realized that it was the second half of the Primal Chaos 5 spirit formula and the records of the Meridian routes. You're giving it to me so easily? Aren't you afraid that I'll take it and run away? Luo Qingyu pretended to keep the jade bamboo scroll and smiled slyly. It's okay. Even if you regret it, I'm confident that I can defeat you and take it back. Besides, I'm not afraid even if you run away on the spot. Without my hints, you won't be able to cultivate this mantra. Lin Shen was calm and composed as he chuckled. The 9 tribulations of creation was one of his biggest secrets. Naturally, he wouldn't hand it over so easily. Even if Luo Qingyu agreed to his conditions, she would only obtain 1/3 of the 9 tribulations of creation. She could only convert the battle chi of the 5 elements, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, into special energy bloodlines. The remaining elements, wind, thunder, light, and darkness, were still in Lin Shen's control. As for the secret at the end of the 9 tribulations of creation, only Lin Shen knew about the final state of the 9 tribulations. I promise you, but only this once. Luo Qingyu's beautiful face flushed red. Lin Shen stroked his chin and smiled slyly. Let's make this clear first. If your performance doesn't satisfy me, I can reject you at any time. I'll take it that you're not sincere. If you go overboard, I'll reject you too. Luo Qingyu pretended to threaten him fiercely. Lin Shen smiled, but didn't say anything. His spiritual ring flashed. At this moment, Luo Qingyu waved her hand gently. Layers of water curtains revolved around her, and Lin Shen's figures to protect them. The group of Sky Prides was even more confused. What's going on? Are the two of them going to fight or not? The layers of water curtains revolved and finally disappeared. At this moment, Lin Shun and the Sky Prides outside the one-line line saw a peerless beauty. Regardless of gender, everyone's gaze was fixed on the peerless beauty in the arena. They couldn't take their eyes off her. Her black hair was like a star embellishment. Her figure was graceful like a swimming dragon. Her soft, gauzy green dress was like clouds and mist. Her snow-white skin was clear and bright. Her eyebrows were joined together. Her lips were white and her teeth were white. She was like a goddess of Luo, stunning everyone present. Her steps were elegant. Her legs swayed gently, and her fingers danced. There weren't too many decorations, but they reflected the endless brilliance and pure beauty of a beauty. Her slender waist twisted slightly. Her slender fingers tapped lightly on the void. Her slender hands moved nimbly like a swallow flying in the sky. She lowered her body and streaked across the clouds, elegant and otherworldly. So beautiful. This is the water moon dance. Legend has it that it was created in ancient times when a saintess prayed to the goddess of Luo to rain the spring rain on the earth. What a beautiful dance. But who is this peerless beauty? Oh my God. Who else? If Lin Chun isn't on the stage, the only one left is Luo Qingyu. Luo Qingyu is a girl. Oh my God. Young master Luo Qingyu can actually dance with such peerless grace. What's going on? Are the two of them still fighting? Why do they change their clothes and dance halfway? Why are they still fighting? If they want to fight, go to the dance studio. When they saw the slightly protruding Adam's apple on Luo Qingyu's snow-white neck, the crowd was stunned. Lin Fan nodded his head in satisfaction. A woman dressed as a man and then dressed as a woman. I'm really a genius. Huh. After the water moon dance ended, Luo Qingyu walked towards Lin Shun. She nodded her head slightly and extended her slender hand. Lin Shun placed his palm on the beautiful woman's hand. The two of them started to circulate their mental cultivation techniques, at the same time. At this moment, a huge amount of elemental light balls in Luo Qingyu's body started to transfer to Lin Chen's body. Host has received 90 million elementary cultivation technique soul essences, 3,500,000 rune energy, 60 million fire energy. Host has received 230 heavens path points, 40 million water type energy, 70 million elementary cultivation technique soul essences. Host has received a cultivation method attribute light ball. Advanced blue rank combat skill, blazing golden crow. Host has opened the blue gold treasure chest. Host has received a stage 6 elixir, yin yang life restoring elixir. Many high-quality elemental light balls were transferred to Lin Chen's body through Luo Qingyu's slender hand. Even if he didn't fight, Lin Chen still had a way to obtain the elemental light balls in Luo Qingyu's body. Chapter 355. At the Ice Valley in the extreme north of the Holy Fire level, a pillar of holy flame shot into the sky, illuminating the heavens. 3 seeds of holy flame had appeared at the same time. 7 heaven star border level. 9 geniuses were lying in a pool of blood. They looked terrified and confused before they died. A handsome young man in white knelt on one knee on the snowy ground. He was holding a sword in his hand and was covered in blood. He looked dazed as if he could not believe what was happening in front of him. His left arm was missing, leaving behind a smooth and perfect cut without a single drop of blood. The handsome young man in white was Bai Ming from the Bai family. He was the one who had fought with Lin Chen before and was ranked first among the top 10 geniuses. At this moment, it was a graceful and charming violet-clothed young master that stood proudly before Bai Ming. He had a feathered crown on his head and a bronze sword hanging from his waist. His face was as fair as jade, and his eyes were cold and evil. His pupils were green, and he looked noble. What was more terrifying was the ancient black sword hanging from his waist. The body of the sword looked like it was made of iron. It was dark and cold as if there were countless abysses. The sword aura swirled around the hilt, as if there were thousands of giant dragons. If the sword was unsheathed, it would cut through the sky. How dare you touch my prey? You're just an ant. The demonic young man's cold eyes didn't seem to belong to a human. Bai Ming's eyes gradually regained their last trace of rationality, and killing intent instantly dyed his eyes red. I don't believe it. I don't believe that there is such a ridiculous thing in this world. Bai Ming shouted hysterically as he waved his sword. His battle aura surged on the low-level rank. 6 heavenly demon sword and a sword aura that could swallow mountains and rivers appeared. Clang! Bang! A flash of lightning-like blade light was extremely fast. Before Bai Ming's blade, Qi could be released. His low-rank 6 sky demon blade was broken on the spot, and the blade light exploded. Bai Ming held his famous saber, and his eyes were unfocused. He suddenly froze on the spot. The young man sheathed his sword. Bai Ming did not even see when the young man drew his sword. More importantly, it was a rank 6 sword. How could a Yuan venerate grade weapon be broken in half by a single strike? Even a top-level rank 6 weapon could not do that. Crack! With a clear cracking sound, an extremely faint blood mark appeared on Bai Ming's head. Roar! Expertise nest die! At this moment, roars and roars came from the Valley of Cold Ice. 2 gigantic creatures rushed out from the snowy mountains and rushed toward them. The 2 ferocious beasts were as tall as 1,000 feet and as majestic as a mountain peak. Their snow-white fur was as hard as steel, and they had 4 arms. They were level 6 ferocious beasts, 4-armed snow fiend apes. Their bloodthirsty eyes stared at the demonic young man. They could actually speak human language. They were class 6 dire beasts with higher intelligence. Ants will not become stronger just because their bodies grow bigger. The demonic young man sneered in disdain and pressed his fingertips against the hilt of his saber. A beam of light that resembled a dragon burst into the skies. Clang! The saber light traveled thousands of miles, like the sacred saber of the Son of Heaven, splitting the heavens and earth. The charm of that saber strike stunned time and years. It reflected the last brilliance of the two Class 6 dire beasts before they fell. The ominous-looking young man sheathed his saber, and the two snow fiend apes exploded into dust on the spot. Even their ferocious beast cores had been sliced into pieces. Instant kill. Two Class 6 dire beasts could not even escape from a saber strike from this young man. What was even more shocking was that his cultivation was only at the late stage of Heaven Star Border Realm Stage 9. Bai Ming looked at this scene in shock. The demonic young man took the seed of holy flame and left slowly. The moment before his head cracked open, Bai Ming heard the last sentence of his life. It is normal for you to not believe that there is such a ridiculous thing in this world. After all, this world is just a plaything of God. The demonic young man's indifferent voice was blown away by the blizzard. Bai Ming's head exploded into two on the spot. Who exactly was this person? One-line sky, Abyss Dragon Arena. Lin Shun proposed 3 conditions for the trade of the second half of the Chaotic Spirit technique. First, he wanted Luo Qingyu to forfeit the competition. Second, she had to channel her battle chi to Lin Shun according to his request. Third, Luo Qingyu had to dress up as a girl and perform the best dance she could. Of course, the third condition was just Lin Shun wanted to teach this bad-tempered girl a lesson. When Luo Qingyu's battle chi was about 80% complete to Lin Shun, there was no more elemental light ball left on her body. Lin Shun stopped channeling his battle chi. All right, it's done. This is the secret to the second half of the Chaotic Spirit technique. It also contains the mnemonic to convert each elemental battle chi into an energy bloodline. Lin Shun let go of her hand and kept his promise. He passed the jade scroll that he had prepared beforehand to Luo Qingyu. Luo Qingyu was elated and her cheeks blushed. When she received the jade scroll, she hurriedly scanned through it. After confirming that there was no mistake, she waved her hand and the boundless water screen surrounded her again. When she appeared in front of everyone again, she had already returned to the handsome young master Luo Qingyu. Other than Lin Shun, none of the sky prides outside the one-line sky could guess whether she was a man or a woman. I choose to forfeit this battle. The first sentence that Luo Qingyu said when she was dressed as a man shocked everyone. What's going on? Why did young master Luo Qingyu forfeit? There must be a dirty deal behind this. The two of them seemed to be negotiating something just now. Obviously, the negotiation was successful, right? Many sky prides were discussing among themselves. Ling Tian crossed his arms and looked at Lin Shun indifferently. Is he the opponent of the finals? He's just a Heaven Star Realm cultivator. From Ling Tian's point of view, Lin Shun was not as difficult to deal with as Murong Changsheng. He just happened to have the myriad fantasy net that could restrain Murong Changsheng's mystical demon catalog. However, that item was not much of a threat to Ling Tian. As for the trump card that Lin Shun had revealed in the battle with Murong Changsheng, Ling Tian only needed to be wary of the secret technique that could slow down one's battle chi and movement. Yin Xinyun looked at Luo Qingyu and Lin Chen meaningfully and then announced, the opponent has forfeited. The winner is Lin Shun. The participants of the finals have been decided. Lin Shun will fight against Ling Tian. The finals will be held in 5 days. This result was completely within Lin Chen's expectations. Before Luo Qingyu left the Abyss Dragon platform, she pretended to roll her eyes at Lin Chun fiercely, which made her look even more charming. Why are you rolling your eyes? I'll teach you how to play basketball next time. Lin Shun even waved goodbye happily and then collected all the remaining attribute light balls on the Abyss Dragon platform. This time, the remaining attribute light balls were left behind by Ling Tian and Yi Yinxia during the battle. Some of them were dropped by Luo Qingyu when she attacked. Host received 30 billion elementary health points, 13 billion elementary battle chi essence, 5 million rune energy, and 150 heaven's path points. Suddenly, Lin Shun found 2 blue gold treasure chests at the edge of the Abyss Dragon platform. He did not know if they were left behind by Yi Yinxia, Ling Tian, or Luo Qingyu. He reached out and opened them. The system screen popped up. Host opened the blue gold treasure chest and received 200 million elementary cultivation technique essence as a reward. Host opened the blue gold treasure chest and received Phantom Rune Fragment 3/1. Chapter 356. Lin Chen's eyes widened as he froze on the spot. Wasn't this a little too sudden? He had obtained the last fragment of the Phantom Rune. Lin Chen opened the system and ignored all the attributes. He locked onto the level 3 Phantom Rune's description in the rune function. Phantom Rune can copy the host's strength and release a Phantom Doppelganger. The Doppelganger can use the same attacks as the host and is compatible with the host's 3 special rune effects. The Doppelganger has the host's combat consciousness and can also communicate with the host's consciousness. The strength of a Doppelganger depends on the rune energy consumed by the host. The more rune energy consumed, the more damage the Doppelganger can withstand and the more attacks it can perform. From the description alone, it's indeed the strongest rune. As for how strong it is, I'll have to test it in actual combat. Just as well, I have the best opponent to test the rune against this time. Lin Chen suddenly turned to look at Ling Tian, who was outside the one-line sky. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Even though Lin Chen and Luo Qingyu's results were out of everyone's expectations, everyone still wanted to witness the peak of the younger generation. The final battle, Lin Chen against Ling Tian. Lin Chen took all the attribute light balls in the Abyss Dragon platform and successfully advanced to late-stage Tier 8. Yi Yanxia's remaining energy attribute light balls gave Lin Chen 280 billion points of beginner HP, which was almost comparable to killing a Class 6 Dire Beast. His pure strength soared to 6,800 dragon power points. Late at night, many prodigies were still inside the one-line sky. Lin Chen was sitting cross-legged. The Azure Dragon's origin in his Dantian was burning with a faint green flame. The ancient Azure Dragon was refining an unprecedented energy. It was the Class 6 Dire Beast core of the 9-headed Hellhound. Lin Chen had a better understanding of the 4 Heavenly Kings' strength after his battle with Murong Changshen. With his own strength, he might not be able to get first place. Just in case, he let the ancient Azure Dragon swallow the Class 6 Dire Beast core before the semi-finals to cultivate and refine the energy in the Dire Beast core. With my help, the ancient Azure Dragon will be able to absorb the Dire Beast cores several times faster. I wonder if it can finish absorbing them before the finals. Lin Chen's heart was filled with anticipation. He activated his mental cultivation method, and the 9-color battle Qi turned into an energy wheel that revolved around the origin of the Azure Dragon. Lin Chen wholeheartedly assisted the ancient Azure Dragon in refining the Class 6 Dire Beast core. He had been cultivating for the past 5 days. Han Yizhi, Lung Yueqi, and the others stood guard by his side. Anyone who tried to get close to Lin Chen was repelled by Lung Yueqi. During this period, even Yin Xinyan, who wanted to see Lin Chen, was stopped by Lung Yueqi. On the morning of the 6th day, the first rays of the morning sun shone into the sky. The Azure Dragon's origin in Lin Chen's Dantian had expanded by a third. At the final moment of the finals, Lin Chen had assisted the ancient Azure Dragon in absorbing the Class 6 Dire Beast core. Lin Chen looked at the dragon veins in the Azure Dragon's origin. 950 dragon veins were nurturing dragon energy that could move mountains and fill seas. Very good. The ancient Azure Dragon with 9,500 dragon power, late-stage Tier 8 cultivation base, and Transcendence Realm spiritual power, as well as various elemental energies with attribute values of more than 600 million, plus 500 million rune energy, and a brand new Phantom Rune. When Lin Chen opened his eyes, his aura soared into the sky, revealing a domineering battle intent that looked down on the world. With so many trump cards and combat power, if I can't even take down Ling Tian, I might as well kill myself with a piece of tofu. When the ancient Azure Dragon had nurtured 950 dragon veins, Lin Chun gradually felt that he had touched the limit. That was right. That was the limit of the Azure Dragon bloodline. Lin Chen's Azure Dragon bloodline was only at 50,000 points. The limit of this growth was estimated to be only enough for the ancient Azure Dragon to grow to beginner class 6. If the bloodline energy was not replenished after reaching class 6, the ancient Azure Dragon would not be able to advance. Lin Chen could only worry about these things in the future. On this day, experts gathered. After receiving the news, all the prodigies rushed to the one-line sky. When the Dragon Abyss 7-star sword vibrated slightly and the morning sun shone down, Ling Tian suddenly opened his eyes. When he got up, his figure flashed into the dragon platform. That's Ling Tian of the 4 Heavenly Kings. What 4 Heavenly Kings? It's the 5 Heavenly Kings now. It's here, the battle of the most powerful ancient families in the spiritual state. Who would have thought that a Heaven Star Border Stage 8 representative of the Lung family would make it all the way here? Some of the prodigies who rushed to the Abyss Dragon platform saw Ling Tian enter and couldn't help but discuss. As for the prodigies who had mocked Lin Chen before, they all hid behind the one-line sky, afraid that Lin Chen would discover them. Who would have thought that he would become one of the 5 Heavenly Kings? We all misjudged him. We are really short-sighted. How great would it have been if we had followed him like Lin Yu back then? The 10 prodigies of the Lung family also rushed to the one-line sky. When they saw Lin Chen on the other side, they realized that they were in completely different worlds and regretted it. This new 5 Heavenly Kings had once been a member of the Lung family. They had clearly had the opportunity to obtain such a fortuitous encounter and opportunity, but they had taken the initiative to let him go. When they heard that Lung Yu and the others had obtained 2 sacred fire seeds and an ancient Yuan venerate's inheritance, they couldn't believe it. When they arrived at the one-line sky battlefield and heard the prodigies discussing Lin Chen's shocking actions and achievements, they realized how stupid the decision they had made back then was. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Chen carried the 5 Dragons' imperial spear and appeared in the Abyss Dragon platform in a silver robe. He had an awe-inspiring demeanor. The finals of the Battle Dragon platform, Ling Tian versus Lin Chen. Now begin. Clang. As soon as Yin Qinyan said that, her sword was unsheathed and transformed into a dragon's roar. The Gung metal sword Qi was indestructible as it slashed forward like a 1,000-foot golden waterfall. Metal slash. The afterimage was like a phantom. Purple flames and green light turned into a whirlwind that flowed around Lin Chen's body. His afterimage disappeared in a flash as he dodged the Gung metal sword Qi. Rumble. The spatial crystal barrier protecting the Abyss Dragon platform and the one-line sky was on the verge of collapse. The prodigies who had arrived to watch the battle for the first time were shocked. This was one of the 4 Heavenly Kings who had advanced to the finals, Ling Tian. The power of this casual slash had already surpassed the mid-first level Yuan Venerate. Oh my god, facing such an opponent, how is Lin Chen going to win? If it were me, I would have been scared off by this sword aura. The prodigies of the Lung family gulped as they broke out in cold sweat. Azura, 9 Brilliance Transformation. Sky Water, Lightning Punishment, Meteor Wind. Lin Chen's 3 special bloodline energies suddenly surged and erupted with doubled battle chi energy, infusing it into Lin Chen's battle soul. An earth-shattering battle was about to break out. Chapter 357. Is this the boundary between the Heaven Star realm and the Yuan Venerate realm, the Dantian Origin Palace? Using his spiritual consciousness to observe the heavenly battle soul in his Dantian, Lin Chen discovered that 1/3 of his 9-color battle soul had already transformed into a mysterious energy cave abode. This cave was the embryonic form of the Dantian Origin Palace. Once it was formed, he would step into the quasi-venerate stage. Finally, the interior of the cave would be formed into 4 new worlds. That would be the Yuan Venerate realm, A cold sneer hung on the corner of Ling Tian's mouth, and his Dragon Abyss 7-star sword began to revolve around the raindrops of water-type sword chi. With a slash of his sword, countless raindrops of sword chi shot out. Sky-high sword art, mysterious rain sparks the galaxy. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sword chi raindrops looked insignificant, but they actually pierced through the spatial crystal walls and shot out at an extremely fast speed. Lin Shen flapped his purple phoenix wings and executed the Wind Prison Hell King steps. Every step he took was like a dragon leaping through space. Azure Dragon Possession, 1,000 Demonic Lightning. With 9,500 dragon power points, Lin Shen maintained his high speed while brandishing the 5 Dragons' Imperial Spear. Lightning bloomed like a torrential downpour and deflected all the sword chi raindrops that were aimed at him. Clang, clang, clang. The sword chi raindrops pierced through the dragon platform, leaving behind countless cracks. Lightning and wind? Furthermore, they are both bloodlines that can be converted into energy. Luo Qingyu, who was watching the battle from the one-line sky, was stunned. She immediately thought of the key point. No wonder he was willing to impart the second half of the chaotic 5 spirit art to her. It turned out that his cultivation method was far more than that. He still had some tricks up his sleeve. This hooligan is really cunning, Luo Qingyu rebuked. She did not really hold a grudge. Everyone had their own secrets. She was already very satisfied to be able to obtain the second half of the chaotic 5 spirit art. Inside the Abyss Dragon platform, Lin Shen swung his numb arm as a confident smile appeared on his face. It was deflected. Ling Tian was stunned. He did not know that Lin Shen's purple golden eyes had increased greatly after his spiritual power had broken through to the Transcendence realm. The position he had moved to was the area with the biggest flaw in the High Heaven Sword technique. Interesting. What's the matter? Aren't you going to summon that strange Azure Dragon of yours? Ling Tian did not immediately give chase. Instead, he held his sword with one hand and asked calmly. Sweeping his gaze across the surroundings, the Dragon Abyss sword glinted incessantly, ready to attack at any moment. Who knows? My Azure Dragon is very smart. It will only pounce on you when you are at your most fatal. Lin Shen, who was standing on the other side of the dragon arena, smiled. Against an opponent of Ling Tian's level, he didn't plan to take the risk of summoning the ancient Azure Dragon to join the battle. Ling Tian's swordsmanship was too powerful, and he could easily kill an ancient Azure Dragon with a casual swing of his sword. Instead of that, he might as well let his dragon force infuse into Lin Shen's body. You're afraid of my strength and don't dare to release it, right? All of a sudden, a mocking smile appeared on Ling Tian's cold face. He stepped into the air and turned into a streak of sword light. His speed was actually a notch faster than Lin Shen's full speed. It was much faster than when he was fighting with Yi Yinxia. Lin Shen was startled. He activated the Taisher, Holy Scripture, and his transcendence stage spiritual energy turned into a snow-white blade that slashed out. Dragon imprisoning 10,000 wood. The Dragon Abyss sword pierced out, and a myriad of wood-type sword lights shot out from the tip of the sword. It actually pierced through Lin Shen's Taisher, Holy Slash. The sword chi's sharp edge came, aiming straight for Lin Shen's head. With full concentration, the battle spear was filled with 5-colored dragon chi. Lin Shen swept through the air and smashed towards Ling Tian's waist. The tip of the spear tore through Ling Tian, but who knew that it was actually an afterimage? Because of the dense killing intent, Lin Chun mistakenly thought that it was an attack from the real body. Swoosh! The blazing high temperature caused the spatial crystal walls to distort. Ling Tian appeared behind Lin Chun like a ghost. The Dragon Abyss sword was burning with a crimson flame. He raised it above his head and slashed down. Fire Sword Dao. Raging flames illuminate spring and autumn. The moment the Dragon Abyss sword slashed down, Lin Shen's pupils shrank, and a slowing rune with 20 million points of rune's energy appeared. In the blink of an eye, Lin Shun used two of his ultimate skills, the 9 Heavens Berserk Thunder and the 10,000 Yuexian Armor. The lightning transformed into a dragon, and the golden battle spear and the 7-star sword collided. Pung! The aftermath of the collision, which was like the reversal of yin and yang, set off an energy shockwave that was thousands of feet high. When everyone saw the situation in the dragon platform, they couldn't help but take in a cold breath. In the center of the Abyss dragon platform, there was a 1,000-meter-long sword scar. It was half a meter wide and 10 meters deep, and there were also signs of severe burns. Lin Chen's left shoulder was torn apart, and blood stained his silver robes. His gaze was deep. He didn't expect Ling Tian to be so fast, and thus suffered a huge loss. In the void, Yan Xinyun stared at the two people on the Abyss Dragon platform. A trace of doubt appeared on her beautiful face. In her divination and deduction, there was no sign of Lin Chen's appearance. Secondly, the mysterious black star behind the tiger eating the dragon did not surface either. Lin Shun was not the mysterious star that she had deduced, nor was he one of the ferocious tigers that devoured dragons. He was like a nihility being who had no fate, appearing out of nowhere and intervening in this battle. As a result, Yan Xinyun did not get the answer she wanted when she hosted the Battle Dragon platform this time, because she'd come for the sake of the black star that she'd seen while deducing the secrets of the heavens. From the looks of it, the heavens were hiding someone else. On the other side, the prodigies who were watching the battle between the two trembled slightly. Compared to the destruction of the dragon platform caused by the 10 great geniuses and Yi Yinxia, Ling Tian's sword was almost equivalent to a second-level Yuan Venerate. The only reason Lin Chun didn't die was because the rune of deceleration allowed him to dodge the attack at its peak. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as simple as injuring his shoulder. Clang! Sword Chi soared into the sky and transformed into a dragon's roar. Sharp sword Chi shot out from Ling Tian's body and pierced Lin Chen's rune of deceleration into nothingness. Although he couldn't see how Lin Chen's rune of deceleration was activated, he had long been on guard against Lin Chen's rune of deceleration. He had secretly accumulated a sword aura and was ready to break the rune of deceleration at any time. Given his strength and foundation, it would be extremely difficult for Lin Chun to find a flaw in his attack as long as he was on guard. Even the rune of deceleration, which had 20 million points of rune energy, didn't cause too much of a delay. Most importantly, Ling Tian had already deduced that Lin Chun would very likely use this strange secret technique as long as he was in danger or at a critical moment in his attack. The 4 heavenly kings were peerless geniuses who stood out among the billions of people in the spiritual state. Lin Shun had exposed too many of his trump cards in the previous battle with Murong Changsheng. In fact, if it hadn't been for the illusory Senluo's strange weapon that had absorbed Murong Changsheng's last forbidden technique of the demon race, the victor between Lin Shun and Murong Changsheng might not have been certain. I like to see how fast you can be. Lin Shun swallowed 3 top-notch grade, 5 elixirs, the Yin Yang Extreme Wind Elixir. This elixir had the miraculous effect of healing external injuries and could increase the circulation speed of one's battle chi by 30%. If it was wind-type battle chi, it would be 50%, and his speed would be even faster. Chapter 358. Boom! The purple phoenix wings flapped, and Lin Chen's speed once again exceeded the limit, causing Ling Tian's expression to change. Sluggish rune. Lin Chen struck out with his palm, and the grayish-white rune descended once again. The rune's energy was reduced by another 30 million points. A sense of danger rose in Ling Tian's heart. He didn't expect Lin Chun to be able to continuously use that strange secret technique that could freeze others. 5 elements, sword Dao, heavenly astral shattering heaven and earth. Golden light shone, and the sharpness of the sword condensed at the tip, and the sword slashed out. The metal element energy was unstoppable, and the sword aura surged, forming a golden waterfall that slashed towards Lin Chun. At the same time, Ling Tian flew backwards, and at the same time, he was sealed by Lin Chen's sluggish rune. A metal element battle technique. I have one too. Lin Chen's eyes shone with a dazzling golden light, and his entire body was covered by the metal element bloodline. His battle chi was poured into his 1,000 new meridians, and he completed a cycle. Heavenly Age Dragon Reversal Spear Technique. 10 Arts of the Dragon Reversal. The 5 Dragons Emperor Spear was quickly brandished, stabbing out 10 times in a row, and 1,000 feet of golden spear light shot out, swallowing the stars and absorbing the moon with unparalleled might. The spear light crushed the sword light, and Lin Chen activated his movement technique, and the purple phoenix wings flapped. With a single stride, he crossed a distance of thousands of feet and forced Ling Tian to the edge of the dragon platform. Ling Tian's expression finally changed. At this moment, he still hadn't completely broken through the restraints of the sluggish rune. Crap, it's too late. Without caring too much, Ling Tian forcefully circulated all his battle chi and activated his defensive battle technique. Together with his defensive artifact, he formed a barrier of fire and water that surrounded him. It's useless, Lin Chun sneered coldly. In the field of close combat, it was time for the Dark Dragon Palm to show its prowess. His left arm was covered in pitch-black dark battle aura. Layers of dark energy swirled around it, as if it contained the universe and could shatter everything in its path. Dark Dragon Palm, 6th-layered dark dragon energy. Lin Chen sent out 2 palm strikes in a row and 3 spear thrusts at close range. Because Ling Tian's battle chi had become sluggish, Lin Chen was unable to circulate his battle chi in time, and his defensive barrier was shattered by Lin Chen. A portion of the Dark Dragon Force had penetrated his defenses and entered his body. 7-fold Dark Dragon Force. With the final Dark Dragon Palm, Lin Chen fiercely slammed it into his chest. The rune energy dropped by 22 million points as the charge rune overlaid with the corrosion rune. The third Black Dragon Palm caught Ling Tian off guard, and he could only block it with his sword. Clang! The terrifying sound of metal colliding shook the entire sky, and it could still be clearly heard from 1,000 miles away. Ling Tian was sent flying 1,000 feet away by Lin Chen's palm strike, his entire body spinning in the air like a cannonball. Large amounts of multicolored light balls fell from Ling Tian's body, forming a dazzling array of colorful light balls. Most of these attribute light balls were elemental energy of the 5 elements and were of extremely high quality. Lin Chen couldn't be bothered to pick up the attribute light balls and chased after Ling Tian. However, he didn't expect another 1,000 sword lights to shoot towards him. Purple flames surged as the purple phoenix wings flapped, and Lin Chen dodged with all his might. To be able to break through my slow rune restriction so quickly, you're really the first one. Lin Chen clutched his injured left shoulder as fresh blood flowed out. Just now, he had used his injured arm to forcefully activate the Dark Dragon Palm and was on the verge of collapse. Damn it, what's going on? I clearly broke through the restriction of that strange energy, but there's another energy that's constantly corroding my battle chi. Ling Tian's body was covered in the corrosion rune, and his expression was gloomy as blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He was also on guard against Lin Chen's Dark Dragon Palm, but he didn't expect Lin Chen's trump card to be far beyond his expectations. Lin Chen didn't intend to give Ling Tian any time to catch his breath. Holding the 5 Dragons' Imperial Spear in one hand, he suddenly rushed forward. His spear was like a wild dragon emerging from the sea, majestic beyond compare. Ling Tian raised his sword and blocked Lin Chen's tyrannical spear. Ling Tian then turned around and slashed towards Lin Chen's calf. The purplish golden eyes shone brightly as Lin Chen turned around like a swimming dragon, dodging the sword. Holding the spear in a reverse grip, his dragon force erupted, and the tip of the spear flowed with a dense golden aura. The two of them fought with speed, and the spear and sword flashed chaotically. They fought from the edge of the dragon platform to the sky, and then turned into two divine lights that tangled together. The special spatial crystal wall was easily shattered by the aftermath of the two's attacks. While Lin Shen was injured, Ling Tian was even worse off. After being hit by Lin Chen's Dark Dragon Force and being corroded by the Corrosion Rune, his offensive and offensive power were greatly weakened. Seeing that Lin Shen, who was only at the 9th level of the Heaven Dipper realm, was taking on Ling Tian head-on, some of the prodigy's minds went blank. Although Ling Tian's cultivation base was at the quasi-venerate level, his strength was infinitely close to the 2nd level of the Yuan Venerate realm. Lin Shen, who was only at the 9th level of the Heaven Dipper realm, was actually able to fight above his level. If the two of them were at the same level, there was no doubt that Lin Shen would definitely crush Ling Tian. In terms of age, Lin Shen was younger than Ling Tian by a few decades. It was obvious who was more talented between the two of them. However, what everyone didn't understand was how Lin Shen could achieve such a terrifying combat strength. In the hundreds of thousands of years of the spiritual state's history, no prodigy had ever been able to challenge a Yuan Venerate while at the Heaven Dipper realm. Even the 4 heavenly kings only started to have the combat strength of a Yuan Venerate after stepping into the quasi-venerate level. When they were the Heaven Dipper realm, they still couldn't resist a Yuan Venerate. Only Lin Shen, this monster, was able to not only fight above his level, but also above his level. Was he still human? Where did this monster come from? Even the strongest saints and saintesses in history weren't as terrifying as him. Without a doubt, even though tempestuous waves arose in the hearts of everyone present, and there were boundless questions lingering in their minds. However, they all understood one thing at this moment. They were witnessing history. The higher the level of a high-grade combat skill, the more heaven-defying and rare it was. Most of the prodigies in the one-line sky possessed low-grade blue combat skills. Mid-grade blue combat skills were already the core combat skills of most prodigies. High-grade blue combat skills were basically only possessed by the top 10 prodigies and a small number of ancient prodigies. As for top-grade blue combat skills, perhaps only the 4 heavenly kings possessed 1 or 2. The value of a top-grade blue combat skill was more than the combined value of 10 high-grade blue combat skills. It was also very rare, even among the ancient families. Although there was a huge gap between his cultivation and Ling Tian's, Lin Shen's strength was already at the late-stage quasi-venerate level. He could use the ancient Azure Dragon's strength of 9,500 dragon points, which allowed him to display a strength comparable to a late-stage quasi-venerate in terms of pure strength. In terms of mental cultivation methods, the 9 calamities of creation surpassed Ling Tian's mental cultivation method by too much. Furthermore, his elemental battle chi could be converted into energy bloodlines, increasing his attack power by several times. Secondly, his 5 Dragons Imperial Spear was temporarily at the mid-grade 6th grade. He had inherited the memories of the ancient weapon forging master, Jin Xiaohua, and could display a strength that could suppress the Dragon Abyss Sword. On top of that, the Heavenly Age Dragon Rebel Spear was a battle skill. If he used it with his gold elemental energy bloodline, his attack power would increase exponentially. It would become a secret skill that would not lose to a top blue rank battle skill, or even reach the peak of blue rank battle skills. Lastly, combined with the explosive power of his purple golden pupils and his spiritual power, coupled with the 300% increase in attack power from the charging rune, his attack power would increase by another 2 levels. Body refinement strength, spiritual power, techniques, mental cultivation methods, and special runes. Every single one of them directly or indirectly increased Lin Chen's strength by several times. With so many trump cards stacked on top of each other, Lin Shen was able to accomplish such an unprecedented feat in history, surpassing ranks and surpassing ranks. Chapter 359. Abyss Dragon Platform. Ling Tian's sword slashed out horizontally, but the five dragons' Emperor Spear spun around to block it. Ling Tian then stabbed out with his spear, but after dodging the attack, the dragon spear smashed down again, creating a huge crater. Seeing Lin Shun retract his strength, Ling Tian slashed out with his sword, and the sword light covered a distance of 3,000 miles, illuminating the 9 continents. The snow-white sword light slashed horizontally across the waist, only hitting the afterimage of Lin, Yi, and the other 4. Lin Shun appeared behind Ling Tian like a ghost, his purplish-golden eyes staring at Ling Tian, predicting all of Ling Tian's movements, and thrusting out his spear without stopping. Turning around, Ling Tian saw that the injury on Lin Shen's shoulder was gradually stabilizing, and the more he fought, the more shocked he became. Why is this brat getting fiercer the more he fights? Could it be that the grade of his cultivation method is above mine? He had always been on guard against Lin Chen's slowing rune. However, Lin Shen had been doing the exact opposite. In many of their clashes, Lin Shun had not used the slowing rune, but the corrosive rune. This caused Ling Tian's battle chi to be in a state of corrosion, and he could only unleash 2/3 of his strength. In the instant that Ling Tian was distracted, Ling Tian pierced through one of Lin Chen's afterimages. After being stunned for a moment, Lin Shen's figure suddenly appeared by his side. Lin Shen spun in the air, both his hands holding onto his spear, and the metal element light converged into a line, and his dragon force exploded out, smashing towards Ling Tian's head. While circulating his defensive skills, Ling Tian gritted his teeth, and his sword swept across the heavens, blocking Lin Shen's 5 dragons' Emperor Spear, and he was sent flying to the ground of the Abyss Dragon Platform. Just when Lin Shan wanted to follow up with another attack, the fire glass shot out, and the sword chi pierced through the void. With a flap of his purple phoenix wings, Lin Chen barely avoided this sword. Ling Tian's head was bleeding profusely, and his breathing became hurried and heavy. The two of them had already exchanged countless blows, and Ling Tian was already an arrow at the end of its flight, while Lin Shen's Azura 9 Brilliance transformation was about to reach its time limit, and neither of them were in a good state. "What's wrong, great prodigy Ling? Are you feeling powerless?" As for kidney deficiency, sometimes it was just that after being overworked, it was hard enough to last. He was the king of kings. King of kings, little sausages. 1 section is stronger than 6 sections. Show off. I only learned to be the king of single machines. Lin Shun, who had retreated to the side, said with a mocking smile. While diverting Ling Tian's attention, he secretly circulated his mental cultivation method to refine the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and the medicinal efficacy of the yin-yang extreme wind pill. Stop talking nonsense. From now on, no one knows whether you will die or I will live. Wiping off the blood stains, Ling Tian pointed his sword diagonally, and the 7-star jades on the dragon abyss sword shone with a 5-colored sword light, its sharpness shaking the heavens. Dazzling gold, murky green, aqua blue, scarlet fire, and earthy yellow. These 5 types of sword lights unceasingly coiled around the dragon abyss 7-star sword, each containing a different sharpness that condensed on the tip of the sword. The spatial crystal wall cracked, and the 5-colored sword light formed by the fusion of the 5 sword lights stirred up the wind and clouds inside the dragon platform, turning the yin and yang upside down. He is no longer determined to break through my corrosive runes. He can still erupt with an attack comparable to a 2nd-level Yuan Venerate despite being hit by the corrosive runes. He is indeed the strongest of the 4 heavenly kings. Lin Shen's expression was solemn as the 5 dragons' imperial spear in his hand began to rapidly grow 5-colored dragon chi. A faint golden light condensed on the tip of the spear as he mobilized all his metal-type battle chi. However, what was even stranger was that Lin Shen's rune energy suddenly dropped by 50 million rune energy points. A golden dragon shadow formed on the five dragons' imperial spear. The golden dragon roared furiously and collided with the five-colored sword light. Sky-high sword art, five elements, sacred sword, cleaving heaven's might. Heavenly geniuses, transforming dragon. The moment the two of them shouted, the spear and sword were brandished. The wind and clouds inside the abyss dragon platform were turbulent. The five-colored sword light slashed furiously, and the golden dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws as they collided continuously. Lin Shun brandished his spear again, and the golden dragon stirred up the wind and clouds. The dragon pierced through the galaxy. The five-colored sword light cut through the void and slashed diagonally at the golden dragon scale armor. Then it slashed back 3 times and chopped off the golden dragon's claws. The dragon spear smashed down furiously, and the heaven-edge golden dragon turned into a divine dragon, swinging its tail. The dragon tail swept and shook the universe as it ruthlessly slapped the five-colored sword light. The light scattered and became even dimmer. The aftermath of the collision between the two of them caused the spatial crystal wall inside the dragon platform to crumble like tofu. The ground of the abyss dragon platform cracked open like giant pythons and spread all over the platform. It was a ghastly sight. The abyss dragon platform, which could withstand a Yuan Venerate's attack, actually started to crumble. The cracks, which were hundreds of feet long, burst open and spread all over the dragon platform. Such a terrifying battle had never been so serious in the battle dragon platforms of the past. At this rate, the dragon platform would crumble. Damn it, are these two lunatics trying to tear down the dragon platform? Run. The spatial crystal wall is about to shatter. When the aftermath of their attack spreads out, the entire one-line sky will be razed to the ground. While all the prodigies were at a loss, Yin Xinyan turned into a purple star and floated above the dragon platform. With a light tap of her slender finger, the crumbling spatial crystal wall stabilized again. Miss Yin Xinyan has made her move. Fortunately, otherwise, not many of us here would be able to survive. Just in case, let's retreat further away. All the prodigies retreated several dozen miles. Only a small number of people, including Lung Yueqi and the other two, were staring intently at the situation inside the dragon platform. Lin Shun and Ling Tian were fighting with their lives on the line, and their battle chi was rapidly drained. In the first round, the five-colored sword light split the golden dragon's claws in half. In the second round, the five-element sword light was suppressed by the golden dragon's counterattack. In the third round, the golden dragon and the five-colored sword light suddenly collided. With a loud boom, they shattered and turned into energy lingering in the sky, falling all over the dragon platform. The moment the golden dragon and the five-colored sword light shattered, the pale-faced Lin Shin gathered his strength and pushed out his palm. Slow rune. With the rune's energy reduced by 50 million points, the slow rune was unprecedentedly powerful. It shot toward the space where Ling Tian was and exploded. His movements and battle chi were running at the speed of a tortoise. However, Ling Tian, who was hit by the slow rune, had a creepy and gloomy smile on his face, as if he had been waiting for this move from Lin Shun. Around Lin Shun, countless hair like transparent threads intertwined. These threads were so fine that they were almost undetectable, and no one knew when they were set up. Lin Shun, the most powerful person in the spiritual state, is still me. Ling Tian. With a gloomy laugh, Ling Tian spun the tip of the Dragon Abyss sword and pointed at the void. The tens of thousands of transparent threads suddenly trembled and began to tighten toward the center. The transparent threads didn't need to spend much effort to cut the space crystal wall. The space crystal wall didn't seem to be anything. They released a terrifying sharpness that blocked all of Lin Chen's escape routes. Everything was gathered in the space crystal wall. However, what was more horrifying was that Lin Chen also laughed. Chapter 360. Ling Tian had always been on guard against Lin Chen's secret technique that sealed off the enemy's movements. He had long expected that Lin Chen would launch another wave of attacks at the final moment. Thus, when he executed the 5 elements sword Dao unification of a Ling Tian sword art, he had already begun to lay down his other top-grade blue-rank sword technique, soul extinguishing 10,000 swords. The might of this sword technique was not inferior to the 5 elements sword Dao unification, but it was an assassination sword technique that could kill without a sound. Previously, when he was a mid-stage quasi-venerate, he had relied on this sword technique and the 5 elements sword Dao unification to kill a late-stage first-level Yuan venerate. Because the might of the 5 elements sword Dao unification was too great, almost no one noticed that Ling Tian had secretly laid down this sword technique in order to wait for Lin Shun to use his final delaying rune. However, the attack had already been launched. Even if Ling Tian had the delaying rune, he could still use his sword technique to attack Lin Shun. Lung Yueqi's expression changed slightly. Lin Shun had already fallen into a fatal situation. Even if he used his movement technique, he would only end up being cut into pieces by the sword Qi. Soul extinguishing 10,000 swords. The Big Dipper sword suddenly pointed, and 10,000 strands of transparent sword energy gathered and slashed over from all directions. Wherever they passed, the crystal walls of space would be cut open, and a deep and pitch-black spatial crack would be formed. The transparent sword Qi was like thousands of knives and slashed towards Lin Shun on the spot. Lin Shen's expression changed drastically. He quickly brandished the 5 Dragons Imperial Spear and executed the demonic lightning spear technique. However, he was completely unable to block the thousands of strands of transparent sword Qi that were crazily slashing and slicing his body. Pucci. Fresh blood splattered everywhere as Lin Chen's blood splattered all over the dragon platform. The eerie white bones were a ghastly sight. From his arms, calves, thighs, head, and neck, Lin Chen was sliced into pieces like tofu. His blood dyed the entire dragon platform red. His 5 Dragons Imperial Spear dropped on the spot. Lin Chen lost. Oh my god, he gathered all his strength in the last exchange with Ling Tian. He couldn't block the final sword technique that was filled with hidden killing intent. All the geniuses exclaimed in shock. Ling Tian's final move was completely out of everyone's expectations. Ling Tian was elated to the point that he even forgot to remove the delaying rune as he roared with laughter. Ha ha ha! Lin Chen, you must have a lot of secrets on you. If it were someone else, they might have spared your life in order to dig out your secrets. However, I, Ling Tian, disdain it. I am an innate sword venerate. I only focus on the way of the sword. In the future, I will definitely become the Sword Emperor. I have a sword that can break all laws. Your little tricks are nothing to me, but to be able to fight with me for so long and die under my sword, you should feel honored. The people outside the one-line sky looked at the dragon platform with complicated expressions. Some were terrified, some were gloating, and some were regretful. Han Yizhi and Han Ziyun's faces instantly turned pale. Lung Yueqi's long black hair fluttered without any wind. Her green eyes were filled with killing intent and indifference. Lung Yueqi held the ice bow in her hands and was about to charge into the dragon platform. Yin Xinyan frowned as she muttered to herself, "What a terrifying sword technique. It is impossible to guard against and untraceable. Killing without a sound. It is a pity that this Lin Shen still has so many secrets that he has yet to unravel." He died just like that. The winner of the finals of the dragon platform is, just as Yin Xinyan was about to announce the result, her elegant voice stopped abruptly and a look of disbelief appeared in her green eyes. Lin Shen's corpse slowly turned into countless specks of starlight and floated in the air, including the blood stains and broken parts of his body. They all turned into a large amount of starlight and floated in the air, disappearing on the spot. All that was left was the five dragons' imperial spear that was shrouded in five-colored dragon chi. What was going on? Is the bloodline of a sword venerate very impressive? The youth's cold laughter sounded from above Ling Tian's head. Before the latter could react, a huge force slammed into his head and activated the last defensive artifact's automatic defense. Boom! Bang! Before anyone could react, the entire dragon platform shook continuously. The silver-robed youth was in high spirits, arrogant and domineering. He stepped on the back of Ling Tian's head and rubbed his head and face against the ground. Seeing that familiar figure, Lung Yueqi's tears flickered. Her usually cold and elegant face couldn't help but shed tears of joy. Damn, one sword to break 10,000 techniques. Break it. I told you to act cool, and you acted pretty well. Lin Chen's other foot stomped on Ling Tian's arm, crushing his right arm on spot. When fighting against Morong Changsheng, Lin Chen still held back. But against Ling Tian, Lin Chen wouldn't show any mercy. This fellow wanted to dismember him just now. My arm. Following that, Lin Chen stomped on his back again. Miserable cries sounded out continuously, and the last dozen attribute light balls were stomped out of his body by Lin Chen. While Ling Tian was screaming, Yin Qinyun sent a voice transmission to him. Participant Ling Tian, do you still have the strength to fight? You still have a chance to surrender. Otherwise, you'll have to resign yourself to fate. Surrender. I surrender. Ling Tian didn't have the awe-inspiring aura from before. All he had was fear, panic, and confusion. What was going on? Wasn't Lin Chen dismembered by his sword technique? From everyone's expressions, he didn't fall into an illusion. Lin Chen sent Ling Tian flying with a kick. Since all the attribute light balls in his body had been used up, Lin Chen wasn't interested in him. Seeing his body disappear completely, Lin Chen walked over to pick up the attribute light balls and put away the five dragons' imperial spear. He sighed in his heart. The Phantom Rune is so damn strong. When Lin Chen used the Heavenly Age Dragon Rebel Spear technique to fight against Ling Tian's five-element sword Dao, he had already used 50 million points of rune energy to use the Phantom Rune for the first time. 50 million points of rune energy to create a Phantom Doppelganger, which could be said to be a substitute for reality. Unless the doppelganger was heavily injured, it would only disappear slowly after the rune energy and the battle chi of Lin Chen's doppelganger were exhausted. Not only did the doppelganger display the full strength of Lin Chen's original body, but it also made everyone present, including Yin Qinyun, run in circles by Lin Chen's doppelganger. As for Lin Chen's original body, he had already used the Azure Dragon Vanishing Shadow to hide at the edge of the dragon platform when his avatar was fighting against Ling Tian, who had fused his five-element sword Dao. After hiding in the dark, Lin Chen attached his spiritual consciousness to his doppelganger to fight against Ling Tian. When Lin Chen's doppelganger used the delaying rune, Ling Tian thought that Lin Chen's every move was under his control. If Lin Chen attacked with his original body and his doppelganger, he would have a high chance of winning. However, the easiest and least risky way was to disguise himself and launch a sneak attack at the right time. The final of the Dragon Arena has ended. Winner, Lin Chen. When Yin Qinyun announced the result, the audience went wild. Cheers and exclamations filled the sky in one-line sky. Today they had witnessed history. In the long history of the ancient families of the spiritual state, there was a peerless genius who could surpass realms and levels. His name was Lin Chen. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.